All right. Hello.
Hi,
Hello. Thank you for coming on.
I'm excited to be here.
We're we are live.
Like I said, I've got a lot of things to say, and I don't really have
Yeah.
like an outlet to say them.
I feel like this is kind of what this is all about.
Good.
Yeah, like it's true. It's like weird to make a hobby out of just talking, about whatever. But I
Yeah.
think that's why I don't know, maybe that's why podcasts are so popular is cuz you can just talk endlessly forever and feel like, "Oh, I'm not crazy just talking forever endlessly about shit that nobody cares
Yeah.
about."
Well,
Like, oh no, it's a podcast, so like it actually does matter all
yeah.
the shit I'm saying.
Well, that's like one of the biggest human desires is to be heard. So,
That is true. Very
speaking
true.
and knowing that maybe somebody will listen is like such a
Yeah.
fulfilling, thing.
Well, that's one of the things I think is like really interesting about social media or YouTube or whatever platform you're on, if it's iTunes.
Mm.
Like, even if you only, like, say you're a small channel and you only have like 50 views, whatever, like that's still 50 people in a room. And when you picture
Exactly.
it that way, it's like that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
That's a lot of reach. So even if it's a small amount, like 28 people, whatever, like that's still more than you're usually gonna be able, more people than you'd be able to reach normally.
I'm
Um,
just happy that you're gonna listen to me and talk.
oh yeah,
Just
yeah.
one person is
Well,
good enough for
good,
me.
good. Yeah, that'll be easier for me. Less work, less less feeling like I need to fill all the dead air because
Yeah.
I'm like the dead air Don Juan. Like I'll just sit here and just like because I think like I'm definitely more of a quiet person in
Mhm.
general. So
Is there any dead air with Rustin? I don't feel like there
no,
would be.
not really. But
Yeah.
one thing about Rustin is he loves the use of silence. Like he
Yep.
likes to pause for a minute.
Yep.
And it's very like it feels calculated. It's probably not. It's probably just he doesn't even realize it.
It
But
might
he'll
not
like
be.
emphasize a point with silence, and then he knows like right when to and like jump right into it when you're about to respond. He
Yeah.
beats you to the punch, kind of. But yeah, we definitely have dead air
That
because
irritates me
sometimes he'll just
sometimes.
say some stuff, and I can't really follow
Yeah.
exactly where he's going with it, and
Yeah.
I'm just like,
It's yeah.
cool, cool, man. I don't know where to go from us talking about aliens and Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Sorry, which I love.
Yes.
Like that's
Yeah.
why I want to have him on as much as possible, and you need people out there.
Yep. I love it too. I definitely love it too. So I saw you have the what is it? The
The Shining,
Shining
yeah,
background on here.
good eye.
I have a client who writes horror films, and he lives in
That is
Denver right
awesome.
now, but he's the one who told me about the hotel in, oh, what is that? Estes Park, which is supposed to be the hotel that the movie's based off of.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he gave me the whole lowdown about the hotel, and it's really cool. Rustin and I have actually stayed in Estes Park once before, and I had no idea about the hotel. So he's a super big Shining fan, and what is it, Stanley Kubrick? Stanley
Yeah,
Kubrick fan.
that's like my favorite director of all
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, well, apparently it's his too. So he like, and
Oh, nice.
I've been working with him for probably a year because he plans to move here at some point, and every now and then he'll send me like a random horror movie, like an older horror movie, and
Oh, hell yeah.
yeah, it's so cool, and it's
Like
like
John Carpenter
tailored
stuff.
to what he thinks that I'll like. So it's like having my own
Oh,
personal,
curator.
yeah, move
That's
horror
awesome.
movie curator. And it's not like he doesn't, stick to gory or to psychological. It's like it's kind of
Yeah,
a little bit all over the place, but I always like them, all the ones that he sends. He
that's
sent
awesome.
me Pacific Heights the
All
other
right,
day.
I'm gonna write
Have
that
you ever
down.
seen it? And it's not
No.
really a horror movie. It's more of like, because I'm into real estate, and it's not just that
Mm-hmm.
it's my job. I like always like things that revolve around it.
Sick. What's
So
it called?
it's
Pacific what?
Pacific Heights.
Okay, cool.
And it's like this couple, they buy this big old house and they transform it into sort of like a 3-unit apartment type
Oh, yeah?
situation, and they rent it out. Well, they get this like awful well, I don't want to ruin it, but
Yeah.
they get an awful tenant, and it goes sideways really quick. But yeah, it's nice.
Sounds cool.
And he sent me another one called The Tenant.
I think I've seen
Movie out
that
of
one, maybe.
74. I haven't seen it yet, but
Oh, 74? Maybe I saw a remake. Well, this is the time of year to get some horror movies. Has that been going on for like months, or
that he
just
sends
recently
them to me?
that he's been sending you movies?
For a year. Probably.
Oh, dope.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Sometimes he sent me Rattlesnake, which was kind of, it seemed really low budget.
I love low budget horror. B movies is the pinnacle, in my opinion, of like horror movie making.
I
Rattlesnake.
I can't really tell. Sometimes whenever they're low budget or not.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can get wrapped up in any movie.
Yeah, if it's done right, it doesn't matter. If like I've watched Frozen finally, not the Disney movie.
Okay.
There's a 2010 movie. It was pretty low budget for coming out, for coming to like major movie theaters and stuff like that. And it's about these kids that they go skiing, and it's like a guy and his girlfriend and the third wheel guy, and they're like not getting along too well. Yeah, it's like a teen. You think it's gonna be like really corny teen kind of horror movies, which are also entertaining as shit, but they convince somebody to go up the chairlift whenever the park is already closed, and there's a miscommunication and they get stuck on top of the chairlift.
Okay.
Like super high in the air, and like there's a bad storm coming in, so the like place they're at is going to be closed for a whole week.
That sounds unique.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like no, because you literally like they are fucked. They are like you have no idea where it's going, and that's what it's all about when it's not so formulaic and like, oh, here's what do they call it? There's like a movie trope about like not Schrodinger's, but like there's like if you ever see a gun or you ever see a weapon, like like, oh well, that person's about to die. Like there's all these giveaway and like cheap like ways a writer can
it's
like
just,
what do they call them plot devices is like the common writer thing. And if you can escape that like formulaic like Harvard trained writer that's just like this is the formula of what works, then that's dope. So wait, is the hotel in Colorado that The Shining's based off of?
Yeah, it's about an hour outside of Denver.
Because I heard they shot it at 2 locations. Did you ever see
I don't
Room
know where
3?
they shot it at.
Did you ever see the documentary about The Shining?
No, and he told me about that, and
you need to watch it.
I don't know.
Sure.
I just was never really into The Shining, so I never like went.
Then I mean it's a little overrated movie in my opinion.
I did watch just recently. He had been on me a year ago. He came down for the film festival that was last, I guess, October.
South by or.
It was it's the week before, I guess, the music festival. They do like a film festival. I don't know if it was that one or if it was a different one.
I think there's plenty out here.
Yeah, but he was telling me about what is it? What is the movie? Is it Sleep something? But it's supposed to be the sequel to The Shining. And I just watched it, and it was really good. Dr. Sleep. Is it Dr. Sleep?
No, I have no idea.
Think it's Dr.
I didn't know
Sleep.
there was a sequel.
Yeah, and it's like very loosely based off of the first one, and there's like a couple of flashbacks.
Is it based off a Stephen King book?
Yeah, it is a Stephen King book.
King. Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it's very loosely based off of the first one, but there's a lot more like magic sci-fi going on, and it was pretty good. It seemed very like a Disney version of what a horror movie should be.
Okay.
So it wasn't
Halloween Town.
Yeah. It was very corny. It had a little girl in it, and
Like Casper.
she was like a strong little girl that battled the monsters or whatever.
Classic.
But yeah, so I watched that, and that was pretty good too.
Movies are great. I heard Regal Cinemas, they're shutting down all their U.S.
I heard that too.
I mean, we all knew it was coming, but the feature film in general, I think, is not going to be as popular
once
as it
they
once
started
was.
releasing them straight to your TV. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the most comfortable setting ever.
Yeah.
Like, you can eat all of your own food that doesn't cost a
Pause
fortune.
the movie.
Even if you were having like a date, it's still like
It's ideal.
so much easier to not have to deal with other people. I don't know. I
Yeah.
love the idea. It sucks that movies are shut down though. I know a lot of people really still love, going to an old-fashioned movie.
Well, I think Alamo Drafthouse is now having it to where you can rent out the theater.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
And have like, I don't know the amount of people you can have, but it's like pretty good price.
It's a lot of people though. I think
And
they're
it's
like
like
allowing
$150.
you to have a lot of people
So you can
in
all
your
pitch
party.
together.
Yeah.
Make it way more affordable. That's what you want, is like your own theater. That's the shit.
Yeah.
Like if you can only have who you want.
Yeah, that's ideal.
That's like mall movie theaters. Did you ever have a mall growing up that had like a movie theater and arcade in it? And there'd be like nobody in there.
Yeah. Where did you grow up?
Midland.
Oh, okay. So I
Yeah.
grew up in Odessa, so I mean there was that 50-cent theater behind the mall that was open for like a slight amount of time that I was old enough to go.
I think we drove over there maybe once or twice.
Yeah, and it was like 50 cents for these
dollar
old
theaters were the
movies.
shit.
It was always like second grade movies,
Yeah, that had been out for a while.
Yeah, movies that had been out for a while.
Yeah. I think I saw Beavis and Butthead Do America with my stepmom and my stepbrother, and we were the only people in the movie. So it was great. We were just running around the whole time. Like,
that's funny.
I'm not exactly sure why she like agreed to take us, because I think that movie came out like 97. Did that thing come out? Jamie, pull that up.
7. And Butthead. That's hilarious.
96. Oh my god.
96.
I should not have been there. I was born in 91. I think our stepmom was just done with us.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to take a nap and sneak some whiskey in here, and you'll just do whatever you want. No, I don't know if that's what happened, but
my first movie experience was my mom took me to see Braveheart. I think I was like 4 years old.
That's a good one.
And it was just me and her, and she like had to hide my face through the majority of the movie because it's such a gruesome movie.
Freedom! Oh my god.
To this day,
that's awesome.
Every time I go to my mom's house, Braveheart is like on in the background. It's like her favorite movie.
That's so funny. You gotta have one, I guess. Everybody, I don't really think I have a favorite movie, but there is.
You can't like name a few that you could watch over and over.
I mean, like Sling Blade. You ever seen that movie? Billy Bob Thornton plays. He plays I don't want to say the R word. He plays like somebody with mental problems. They got sent away to the nervous hospital for a couple of years. I'm not going to say why, because like you have to see this movie.
Okay.
And like you're not going to believe it's Billy Bob Thornton when you see it, because he's like a pretty good looking guy, right? Like he just looks like, he looks slow for sure. They did a good job with the makeup and costume. And it's also, who's that country singer that sings 1,000 Miles from Nowhere? Dwight Yoakam. He plays an alcoholic dad.
Okay.
Yeah, it's awesome. And they live in like the middle of nowhere, Arkansas. They're all from the South. And
interesting movie.
No, yeah, I got Laura to watch it.
Did you?
A couple months ago, or I think Aaron might have convinced her. But anyway, they like heard about it, and me and my roommate Ian, like in our dorm room, like there's cable, but like cable is kind of crap. So most of the time you're hardly even in there. You're kind of in and out. So I just would have Sling Blade on repeat all day, and you'd have like people come over and be be like, "Oh wait, hold on, we gotta watch this part," and they would just be like, "What the fuck are you watching, Alex?
Over
The
and
hell's wrong
over.
with you guys?" And we're just like, "This is great."
So funny.
Yeah.
There was like, growing up, my dad didn't have cable at his house. I don't know why. He's just a crazy
Nice.
person. And I had like 5 movies that had been given to me for whatever reason. And one of them is that, I don't even remember what it's called. It's where Will Ferrell makes a slight appearance, and I don't know anybody else's name in the movie. But there's like a used car salesman, and it's based in Temecula, Arizona.
I love that movie.
Do you know what it's called?
Yeah, it's called The Goods.
The Goods.
Don Reddy.
Yep. So I had The Goods, and I watched it over and over. I had Reservoir Dogs.
Oh, okay.
And I
2 good
know
movies
every
already.
single scene. And at the time, I'm a young teenage girl. I hated that movie. I was awful. But
Yeah.
but it's like really cool that I know them so well by now. I don't.
Goods.
There was 3 other
James
movies.
Van
I'll have
Der
to
Beek.
think about it. But yeah, know every scene.
I was thinking about that movie the other day because I heard James Van Der Beek is moving to Austin with his family. And that scene where he's like, "James Van Der Beek, my nigga." You remember that part? When they're all watching porn and it gets to him and he's watching Dawson's Creek.
Yeah.
It's really funny. Yeah, that's a
That's
a good
I
one.
like whenever he
it's one of the
cries in
few
that
I like
movie.
Jeremy Piven in. Wait, what were you gonna say? Sorry.
So funny. I like the scene when he cries in the movie because he like cries like normal, but it's like so much water coming down his face.
Oh yeah.
Very
Yeah, nice.
exaggerated. One of the first movies I went and watched with my dad in the theater, because he like didn't take me to do that kind of stuff. But one time, I must have been 14, maybe. So like in an awkward stage, and we had watched Borat at one point. We watched like a PG-13 version of Borat.
Oh, it must have been awful.
Yeah, it was but I thought it was hilarious. I was 14,
Sure.
whatever. And my dad thought it was funny. So we thought whenever Bruno came out that we were like, oh, it's going to be hilarious. So we went to the movies, rated R, obviously. And there was a lot of dick scenes that I had to sit through with my father. And I think it changed our relationship for a couple of months after that. It was just the
my
worst. It was the worst experience.
I remember people walking out of the theater when I went to see that. I saw it in theaters, and I thought it was
a lot
hilarious.
different. It was a lot different from Borat. They went a step further.
Oh yeah, I mean that couldn't have tested well. I'm sure when they were showing it to people, they were like, "No penis, please," because that's A lot of movies or shows that have that, people are like, "No."
Yeah,
Did not want that to happen.
I did not want that to
God,
happen.
you were like 15
Yeah,
with your
I
dad?
was 14 or 15, yeah.
Oh no.
I don't remember when it came out, but it was like right whenever it came out, and we were so excited because we thought Borat was so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was much different. Bruno is a totally different character.
It was very different.
Well, apparently there's a Borat sequel that's going to be released before Election Day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know. I
How
guess just
funny.
because theaters are screwed and probably going to get pushed back, but I think it has like a quasi political message like most of his shows, but
Yeah.
I
feel
don't
like
mind.
he- yeah.
I don't mind Tim. He's not. Sacha Baron Cohen is not too like pushy about.
I think
You should
I bet
only
you
think
he
this
probably
way.
is in real life. I bet
Yeah,
in real
I bet he
life he
is.
probably is. But through his art, he, seems a little bit more laid back. But I think just taking a funny approach to making fun of, the different stances is nice. Just keeping
It's
it
hard
funny.
to do.
Yeah.
It's hard to do and not turn it into. You have to keep the satire. That's the important part. Once you lose that, I guess. God, not that I would know anything about.
Yeah, once
making
you start getting
movies, but-
passionate either way, it's like, it just becomes very serious and not funny. Even if you're right,
Yeah.
like whatever the cause is or your viewpoint, whenever you're like, I really believe this. People are like, oh. A lot of people shut down. I shut down. I'm like, I can't argue with you. I can't be funny with you. I can't anything.
Yeah, just
like,
start
I'm just
tuning
like,
them out.
okay, all right.
Yeah, especially when you can't just walk away. It is very aggravating when things just turn like political just so quickly. You're just like,
oh my gosh, my dad yesterday. So my dad is a very
oh yeah, I heard you were in Michigan.
Yeah.
Is that where your dad is?
No, my dad actually is in Odessa, but
okay.
yeah, my whole family on my dad's side is from Michigan, which is a blue state, but driving around
Michigan's different.
in Michigan, you wouldn't tell because there were Trump signs everywhere, and I did not see one
It's a swing state.
Biden sign. I didn't see one.
Really?
It was very interesting.
I don't really see many Biden signs here either, but
yeah, I feel like people
are scared to rep it.
Yeah, people who are behind Trump
they're
are
proud.
Very passionate about it.
Oh yeah.
And I feel
for sure they'll flex it.
Yeah.
And a Biden supporter is like, well, like what's that Dave Chappelle joke? Like, you can't ask white people who they're voting for.
Yeah.
He's like, whoa, Dave, easy, man. I'm not gonna talk about that. So anyway, I was fucking my wife in the ass. Like, like people talk about anything, but the old school way to be is like, no, you can't.
Yeah, you don't. You're not
and
supposed to ask.
I can see why.
You're not supposed to ask.
I see why it's that way. It really should be. I mean, no politics, no religion. It's totally true.
Yep.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
Michigan. I don't know anything about that place. I do know if there's like one other place I'd want to live besides Austin, I think it'd be Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Okay.
Because it's like all the best shit about Chicago, except you're not in Chicago.
Okay.
Like there's
well,
all
I
that good
hated
food.
the cold. I don't want to be anywhere up there. I was so ready to be home.
You like
I
the
love
South.
seeing my family, and it was beautiful. I mean, the trees were starting to change, and there was color everywhere. And everybody lives so far apart. Like, there was no, like,
that's crazy.
Mass subdivisions like there is all over here. They're everywhere here. And I guess they're just not dealing with the same amount of growth.
Yeah.
So everybody's far apart. Everybody has their space. And, everybody's, like, as you're driving down a country road, there's houses everywhere, but you don't see any of them because there's, like, little driveways into people's houses, and the rest is just, like, trees.
Right.
Everywhere. It's crazy. It seems so relaxing there. I always think I could live there, except for, like, when the wind blows just a little bit, because it's so friggin' cold all the time. Like, even through summer, it, like, barely gets to 80 degrees.
Sounds like my kind of place.
I hate it. I
just hate ice on the road.
I can
don't mind the
lay
cold,
outside in 105 and just all the time. Just have that all the time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you've been in my house,
I'm
right?
huge.
I keep it
yeah,
hot.
Is it too cold in here for you?
No, it feels fine. But I keep my house hot to other people. I keep it at like 75.
My big theory is because my roommate, he likes it hotter, but like my thing is, if it's cold, you can always get warmer, but you can't get cooler if you're hot.
Yeah,
that's my logic. I like to use on
sense.
people.
Yeah.
Beat that. Beat that logic next time. I'm sure you could think of something.
Yeah. I had a roommate. I moved out really early when I was younger. I moved out when I was 16. And I had
damn.
Yeah, I had a roommate, and she was like super, super thin, like barely 100 pounds. And she would always keep the house like 80 degrees, like so hot. And me and a friend of mine were just like hanging out, and we were like, dude, we've got to cool it off in here. Like, it's so hot. Yeah. And she was like, well, maybe you guys need to lose a couple pounds. And I was like, oh,
there's the rebuttal.
Like, I'm barely, what else am I supposed to do?
Yeah, you need to lose some pounds, obviously.
Maybe you need to gain some pounds.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I guess Kate is like 90 pounds.
Is he tiny?
No, he's more than that, but he is very thin. He is very, very thin. And I don't mean like one thing like I gotta say like being overweight, like, you know, a big part of my life and all that stuff. Like I definitely only thought like that's the only way it could be like mean about somebody's body. I'm just like, oh, you're just fucking fat ass. And I didn't even realize like the skinny people get it too, like on the reg. Like I'll hear like somebody, like I remember this summer, like overheard some girl like talking shit about this other girl, like, look how skinny. She's so skinny. Guys, I'm just like, dude, chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
Like, what do you care? But
Everybody gets.
yeah, everybody
that's
gets
the
it.
one thing that you
when
can
you're
like
young,
get
you don't
people
know.
with.
Yeah, it's the low blow.
Is like, yeah, because it's the one thing that you can't really like change about yourself. Like that's just who you are. So it's different
Yeah.
to be like, you're an asshole. And it's like, that's like something you can own and be like that. But you're like, if it's your
Right.
body, it's like you're supposed to change it and you're supposed to conform, or like you're supposed to
True.
be a certain way.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. That's why I think you just have to give it right back. Like as soon as it turns into that, like you got to give it right back. It's the only way to deal with that shit.
I call Rustin a fat ass all the time because he just eats and eats and eats.
He
That's
can get away with
probably
it for
rude.
now.
Yeah.
Well, he's at the age now that he'll be able to get away with that for good. If that's like
Yeah,
not
I
a big
think
deal.
he's just gonna be like that. He might get one of those like really hard round pawpaw bellies. You know what I'm talking
Oh,
about?
yeah.
Those like grandpas
if-
that have those big round
Yeah, and
hard
you
bellies.
touch and it's like a shot put, like just totally hard. You're like, what the hell?
What is
Yeah.
going on?
That comes with older age. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're right. Like the older you get, the more it's just like, ew, this is just like muskin is stretched out. This thing is stuck. A pot bellied Rustin. That would be
Those are funny.
hilarious.
One time, he went to India for that wedding.
Oh
That
yeah.
one time. I guess it was 4 years ago, and he was there for 2 weeks because I mean they like went all over there, and the wedding itself, Indian weddings are like really long. They're like a couple days or something. I don't
wow.
really know, but there's like
I've
a whole
heard
process.
like the full day, but I didn't know it was
how-
like days and days.
Yeah, I think it's like family is supposed to be there for the
Oh.
week to do all these different ceremonies or whatever.
Well, that is like truly an ancient culture. You know what I mean? Like they've been around a long time doing it the same way. So
Oh, I have a story about an Indian friend of mine. But okay, so Rustin went to India for 2 weeks, and he left leaving 160 pounds and came back 150 pounds. And I mean, he didn't have much weight to lose, like to
yeah,
begin
you
with.
think all
He's-
that
he's-
basmati rice would
Yeah,
pump you up?
yeah, but it didn't. He was so tiny when he
Oh
came
my
back.
God.
He looked really
140?
sick, and he said he just ate a lot. I think it's probably
Worms.
smoking has
No,
a
I'm
lot
just
to do
kidding.
with it because he couldn't smoke
Yeah.
over there, and he smokes every day, you
Yeah,
know.
that's probably true.
And he can't eat unless he does. No, I think he relies heavily on that. So I don't know if it was just
Oh, wow,
Indian
okay.
food being like clean and not having a lot of sugar in it and not having
Yeah,
a lot
from
of like
scratch.
animal fats and stuff.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, that's nuts. Dude, Indian food, you can get down on that. You can
That's
gain a
my
lot of weight
favorite.
eating.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's hard to
That's
come
my
by a
favorite.
good Indian food because most of the restaurant owners are from Pakistan, so it's like a little bit different. I feel
Really?
like. Oh yeah, you talk like if you listen to like, you know, you'll see Middle Eastern people around, and you kind of just assume Indian because that's like the biggest country, and you can't really distinguish accents. But like if you listen, most of them are speaking Urdu, which because I just started asking like guys at gas stations like, how do you say this or how do you say that? And I'll ask like, what language? Yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, I just think
if
it's
you
cool.
want to know, you gotta
I
ask.
watch. Yeah, you got to make friends, right? I watch this show called Bald and Bankrupt. It's this YouTuber that does like a
Bald and
travel show,
Bankrupt. Okay.
and he goes to like he's famous for going like places you're told not to go,
Okay.
and he's from England. He did like a lot of videos in India, and he's like, you think there's like a theory that this guy like used to be in intelligence for Britain because of how like easily he can talk and communicate and get along with people from like any country.
Okay.
And I mean, it's just kind of inspiring. He'll like go with people, not give a fuck, and like, what's this? Like, what's that? Like, bother him and like learn a little bit and be like, okay, all right, thank you, bye.
That's so funny.
And like, kind of get to know the people. That seems to be his main goal. So honestly, it was kind of inspiring. It's like you never really do stop and like try and get to know somebody that, you know, is a foreigner. Or, like,
I
even
love
learn.
that guy off of Vice who does that. He like goes to the extremist groups.
The guy, there's
And,
a
like,
couple
tries
of
to get on.
journalists that do that, right?
What? It's just it's that one guy, and he has a show. He's a comedian, and he does
David Cho?
No, I'll think of it. But yeah, he always seemed like really comfortable asking the questions, like to these extremist people, and just asking them like point blank questions very bravely. I like admired that quality in people.
That is real journalism. I mean, how many times do you
Yeah.
watch the news and it's like you
Yeah.
don't even see them interview one person? They're just talking heads, reading whatever's been written out, and it's like you're not really learning anything if you're not like hearing from people on the street like real opinions. And
Yeah, that is true. I haven't even
really-
noticed that's sort of kind of being weaned out of media.
yeah, I mean, I think it'll make a comeback. There's a guy who does a show called All Gas No Brakes, and he's like 25, 26, really young guy, and he just goes to like events, random events, and just like wears this crappy suit and interviews people, and hardly
Okay.
says a thing most of the time. Like he usually doesn't like include his questions, but sometimes he will, and he just gets the stuff out of people because he's just like looks so chill and like unassuming.
Yeah,
And he
that's
doesn't
the
like
thing.
his thing is he wants people to be comfortable. He's not challenging them so much. Like he may
Yeah.
ask a question that is a bit of a challenge, but he's never like
Yeah, if you
'Cause
put,
most
if you
time,
put
like,
that
people
little
just-
twang on it,
yeah.
I mean, people will shut down.
he's a
or
well-traveled
get
guy too.
defensive. Mhm.
Yeah. But I think it will make a comeback. I mean, he posts videos and they get 2 million views in 12 hours. I mean, it's really popular. So I think if more people get introduced to that, it would be more popular.
It's cool.
And then we'll be the old fucks watching that type of journalism, and all the young people be like, you watch shit news.
I think that Twitter has kind of become like a voice of the public, just because you get to see the
Public bathroom.
Yeah. I mean, the worst, but you kind of get to see people's opinions as it is. But I feel like it's hard to gauge because you can watch what's trending all day long, but it's like you look at it from deciding opinions. Is it just one type of person that's on Twitter, or is it just a few type of people that are this way that are on Twitter, or is it a good selection of the population? And can you look at like the trends of what people are talking about and what people find important? Like, I've always wanted to know how to dissect that and how to see, because I've always felt there's the generation that's under us. What is it? Generation X below us?
Yeah, right before us.
That's
What
before
would
us.
you
That's the
say-
older.
What are we, millennials, right?
Yeah, millennials. What's younger
Gen
than
is
us?
younger is Gen Z.
Gen Z. That's right. So
Zoomers.
So they're really not
I like them.
on Facebook very much. So they don't use that platform as much as they use, like, let's say Snapchat or Twitter. So it's like, what
TikTok.
people exactly? What people are on Twitter? Like,
Well,
what's the demographics
There's
across
two
the board?
types of accounts on Twitter. There's the blue check marks and the non-blue check marks. Like, I think that's how you really differentiate like who you're hearing from on Twitter. If somebody has like a blue check mark, that means like
Oh, that
that
does
they
make sense.
are in line with with messages that are more aligned with Twitter and whatever their agendas might be, which who knows what that even is. And then there's people that are wildly popular on Twitter that do not have the check marks. So
Yeah, that's true.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I never really
Because yeah,
fucked
they're
with Twitter too
sharing.
much, honestly.
Yeah, neither have I.
Yeah, I
I've
look at
never
it
been
every
on it.
once in a while if like something big happens.
I always like to see what's trending on Twitter. I'm never on it. I
Oh yeah,
never tweet or I don't have a personal account, but I always like, what are people saying about this? Or like whenever there's
sure.
news published about it, there's this hashtag took over Twitter today because of this and this. And I'm always like, is that the majority of the people that feel like that? Or is
Yeah,
it
well,
just
if
because the
they,
people that feel like that are on Twitter?
hmm,
Like, are there a
I
lot
don't
of
know.
conservative people on Twitter? Is there just as many conservative
Yeah,
people on Twitter as there are non-conservatives?
I'd say yeah. I mean, I think maybe you're less likely to get suggested depending on who you follow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean,
It's hard because if you look at it that way, then there's no real outlet to know what the majority of the public thinks. Because at this point, it's just like, who's
no.
being louder? Because you get to hear from them.
Mm-hmm.
Who's saying the most outrageous stuff? Who's more upset? You hear from those people, but you don't know how the majority feels until it's like voting year or,
Yeah. And I think the people that are the most upset are the ones motivated to turn out for voting. And that's also what that's what is kind of like telling about social media. It's like, well, the most extreme people are the ones like that are actually going to go out and vote and like put in whatever you got to do. I mean, I'm not going to vote for sure.
do you feel like if you were to vote, do you feel like you know what you would do?
I don't want jury duty.
Okay.
That's why I'm not going to vote. That's what happens to
You
you.
don't want jury duty?
Hell no.
Oh my gosh, I would
I guess it
love
is a way to
jury
get out of
duty.
work. I only
I
had it one time,
You
and I
don't
was
even have
like,
to
"This
pay
is
me.
cool."
I'll pay you to be on jury duty.
That's
I
true.
would
It
love
does
that
give
power.
yeah,
Of-
it was
of
kind of
being
cool when
like-
I got selected to a jury. I was like, "Nice." I gave a good answer to the prosecutor. They put me on.
You got to be on jury
Yeah.
duty? Oh,
Yeah.
I've never. So they
And I got
called me,
selected.
and I guess my opinions are too like harsh.
Yeah, I've always thought
So
about just
they
saying
were like,
something
"No,
racist to
the
get out of it.
Yeah, they were like, get the fuck out of here. You're not deciding for anyone.
Yeah, I think the question for me was like, it was for a child abuse case. They're like, what do you consider abuse? And I was like, it was after my freshman year of college, so obviously it gave a sophomoric answer, and I was just like, well, it's anything like physically or psychologically harmful that would be happening to the kid. And like that was it. That's the only question they asked me. But there's
Yeah,
one
I guess
guy
you're
that
just
got asked and he
broad
pretty much
answers.
like crossed his arms. He's like, because this guy is a piece of shit right here. And he like, they're like, okay, you can leave now, Mr. whatever
right.
his name was, Mr. Hendricks. Yeah, it was pretty funny. He just like blatantly, like, how do you even get pulled for selection? He had some sort of connection, and they were like, yeah, you can't be here if you like know this guy.
Oh.
Like, pretty
Yeah, that
well.
was like the first question. I guess I did make it past like all of the initial questions. Were like, do you know
Yeah.
this guy? Have you ever had anybody?
Yeah, I think there's 2 rounds,
who
and then
was
they select
convicted
you.
of money laundering or whatever it was. It was something stupid. It wasn't even fun.
Oh yeah.
So I made it past all of that. But then they started asking like, how do you feel? And I'm like, oh, I know exactly how I feel. And they're like, oh no, you've got to be like very philosophical in your answers and open and broad for them to,
Right.
you know, be like, oh, we can sway you either
like,
way
"Oh,
with our
you're-"
arguments.
Yeah. You'll you say if you sound like a pinhead lawyer, they're like, all right, we don't want that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
But
is
if
interesting.
you sound like an idiot like me, who's like, I know exactly what I believe.
Yeah, I think
No, you
jury
don't. Get
selection
out.
is very interesting. I've always thought attorneys were interesting in that whole like job
Yeah.
and what they do, and I mean,
Oh yeah, definitely.
I guess it does get glamorized a lot though. So I
It-
think I have
yeah.
a very distorted picture about like what I think it is and what it's all about.
I wanted to be an attorney for a long time, and I looked into it. I looked into school. I was doing all the work until I found a blog by an attorney. And he was basically like, if you want to be depressed every day of your life, be an attorney. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want
Yeah.
that. And I'm sure that was, his
There are
like
those stories,
extreme
though.
view, but he was like, you
Yeah.
literally will have people against you every single day of your life. Like,
Yeah.
that's your job. That's going to be your job. And if you can't disassociate
you do
from
have
that,
to be.
then
You have to be kind of a psychopath to be a really good lawyer.
And I take everything personal. I know
Yeah,
that
me
I would
too.
hate that. I am so
I would lash out
like,
and act
yeah.
up. For sure.
And I have kind of a short temper too.
Oh, yeah?
I do.
Got the Irish temper?
I do, and it's like, it's not like it's all the time short temper, but it's like certain things will like make me pissed immediately.
Yeah.
So, and I can't really predict it either. So
I
it's
guess
like,
I know what you mean. Yeah, you can't predict it. I guess most of the time, yeah. Like, I think the things that like will really set me off is stuff like you don't even know is possible getting fucked up, and that'll just like.
yeah, because I
set me
feel like
off.
I don't have like a set rule
Do you come
book
down
of what I get.
fast? Do you come down off of it fast, or is it
Oh
like a
yeah,
gradual?
yeah, really quick.
Because I am I'll talk myself down for like 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Sometimes it takes longer, obviously, but
It takes
I
me
do
a while
go
to
down
build
fast,
up, though, I
and
guess.
I lose the grudge. I mean,
Oh, well, I guess I don't. I can hold a grudge for a long time.
oh yeah,
Yeah. I really do. And
I
it
get
takes
it.
me
I
a
get
while
it.
to build up. Like, something will happen, and I'll immediately, like, feel the heat in my face. And then I'm like, okay, think about it for a second. And then sometimes it'll be like, okay, it's fine. Like, maybe they didn't mean what they said, or, whatever the situation is, it's fine.
Sure.
And then if it's like not fine and they really did like do something that's unfair, like a lot of times other agents can piss me off or something like that, and then it like builds up again, and I'm like, I can't get it out.
Yeah, here we go on this ride again.
Yeah. But I'm really good at not reacting, because a lot of the time, those situations happen
yeah.
through text or through email, or, for me. So I'm really good
It's
at not
hard on
just
the
being
phone.
like, "Ugh." If it's on the phone, I've learned to kind of be quiet.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was going to tell you, my dad was like talking about, he's a very avid Trump supporter. He is all in.
Hell
loves
yeah.
Trump.
Make
He's
liberals
like,
cry again.
He's really into the whole thing. And I'm
Okay.
not necessarily, I
Whatever.
feel like I'm very on the fence about everything. I know I'm definitely not a Trump supporter, but I don't really, my dad's the kind of person, he's gone so long in his life, there's no changing his mind. There's no like talking
Yeah.
points with him or discussing ideas. There's, he's got it.
It's
what he's
crystallized.
decided he's
Okay.
in it. So I'm like, okay, all right. So he starts talking about it and is like, are you registered to vote? I'm like, yes, Dad, I'm registered to vote. I tried to change the subject. I was like, oh, but Rustin's not because of this, this, and this, and he lost his ID, and well, so I'm like trying to change the subject because I know he's gonna get into it,
Yeah.
and he doesn't need a response from me. He talked for 25 minutes about all of the crazy conspiracy theories that he believes that are so far-fetched, and I can't just be like, Dad, that's not true. Like, if you really thought about it, none of that shit is true. And I love conspiracy theories. I
Right, yeah.
love them. I will read all of them. I will try to digest them. I think they're so much fun. But he like believes it with his soul, and there's no, and you just have to sit there and let him talk. And so as much as I want to be like, telling him things, and we're talking about me being pissed. I wasn't pissed. I know what to expect, but
Yeah.
holding my tongue has definitely been something that I've learned like in the past 2 years.
Well, like you said, people's need to be heard is one of the most important things
Yep.
for you.
Absolutely.
And, like, that is how it's going to go with your family. Sometimes it's just like, all right, time for you to be heard, and there's nothing that's going to come out of me clapping back or I just like to like
Exactly.
hope that someone will. They'll be like, oh, maybe they'll turn around. You know.
Yeah, there's definitely interesting thoughts. So my dad, whenever, 4 years ago when all of this was happening, my dad hated Hillary Clinton. He believed all the conspiracy theories
Nice.
about her, which,
Yeah, she's evil.
yeah, I really
The Clinton
think
kill list.
that there might be some iffy shit going on there. But so he had really kind of just discovered Facebook at that point. So he's like constantly
That's
getting
true.
in 4 years ago, he's constantly getting in
Yeah.
these like Facebook arguments and getting pissed. Like, this is where I get my anger from. He's getting furious on Facebook. He said he broke two phones like during this whole thing because he's, very avid that Hillary Clinton's the
Welcome
devil
to the
and
internet.
Trump is the savior of America. He's into it. He loves it. But is just getting so mad arguing with strangers on Facebook. And it's like so
It will
funny to
make you mad.
see your parents go through this because it's like
We
we
did it as
learned this.
teenagers.
We learned
Yeah.
this as
AOL,
teenagers
IM.
to just let it go.
Yeah, you can't
And
engage.
he had to like learn all of the internet etiquette that we've already learned.
Well, I think there's I forget who say it, but there's a quote that I really like that when the internet was created, it separated a generation that was native to something that the older generations would always be foreigners to. And it's so true for us. Like, the internet is so like, we know we may not always do the appropriate thing on the internet to like avoid all that getting upset and arguing and getting nowhere. And like, I've been there. I was there the other week on
Yeah.
YouTube comments, and I'm just like, why am I doing this?
Yep.
Like, this guy's clearly an idiot.
Yeah, and I have to, and that's one of the things I think I would be more into it now if it weren't for my career and kind of having this
Yes.
expectation of remaining professional at all times. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not allowed to.
Hey, you have
know-
to be on all the time.
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
It
And
sucks.
it does kind of suck, and that's part of being heard too, is being able to talk about how you feel about things, and sometimes it means calling somebody a dumbass, and I can't do that now. I'm especially with the brand of what I work for. They're so strict about maintaining that
yeah.
very high moral
I would
ground and somewhat religious perspective of the work that we do and stuff. So
Interesting.
it's hard to express my views
Yeah.
whenever you feel like you're being watched like that all the time. So that's one thing that's kind of helped me hold my tongue too. It's like, hey, am I gonna get a talking to after I say this?
Yes.
I kind of
Absolutely.
have this like parental figure looking over.
Yeah, Big
my
Brother is
Facebook.
real. It is real. It came to fruition. I think everybody in America was kind of afraid of, like, you've read 1984,
Oh, yeah.
right?
No, I haven't. I haven't.
should
And
check it
Dustin was
out.
talking to me about it, and
a
I guess
great book.
everybody read it during school except for me.
No, I
It was
read
like
it.
part of the curriculum.
I read it after college. I'd never
Really?
read it before. I saw the movie, and the movie was like, it was okay.
Okay.
But the book, usually the book is better. But yeah, it's kind of about, like, you've seen Animal Farm or read Animal Farm before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, like, you kind of think that, like, we could all get to this point through, like, communism, but it's crazy that, like, private business now is like, oh, be silent, like, and it makes sense. It makes sense. And it's mostly a good thing. It's mostly for good reasons. But it definitely, you do with social media. Like, I am always very cautious on the phone. I'm like, they could be recording me without me even knowing.
Yeah, I
And
had
post
to.
this. Like, it could be very bad. So I have to make sure whatever I'm saying, I know the internet will have my back.
Oh yeah.
You can't ever, like, take it there with anybody.
I have some very
professionally,
questionable
that is.
posts in the past that I had to go through and
Oh,
delete
yeah, I
because
got rid of
I would
Facebook years
be
ago.
crucified for them now. Yeah, there's the whole like cancel culture is very real, and it's unnerving even for I feel like I'm very cautious about what I say, and I think before I speak, and even then I still feel a little bit nervous about saying anything that's going to be
Yeah. Well,
written
because
down.
they're always moving the goalpost. So like it's okay right
Yeah,
now,
it does feel
but guess
like
what?
the
5 years from now, that
the
you might be
standards are
like, oh,
very flexible.
yeah, they just moved the goalpost around. But
Which, has it always been like that? Because I feel like maybe
yeah,
it has.
it
Yeah.
has. But I think people like with the older generation, I always noticed like my parents or grandparents, they would always be like, things were different then. They would like include that with whatever story they're telling me. And then, if as long as you elaborate and like things aren't like that now though, we've learned like people are allowed to change their mind. I just think it's kind of crazy for anyone to be held to a standard of like you're having the right opinion at the right time all the time. It's just not even possible. So you just kind of have to say, fuck the trolls. Like,
Yeah,
if you're in the
decide
right, I
what's
think
right
if you're
for
in the
you.
right and you're very smart about like how you address it, if you ever did get like quote canceled, I think as long as it's not too heinous, you're good. As long as you're not like Bill Cosby.
I think I had some very it's so funny. I actually used to be a lot more conservative than I am now, or maybe it's more libertarian than I am now. And I was
Yeah,
very vocal about how much
like
I
your early
didn't care
20s.
about other people, honestly.
Oh yeah, hell
And
yeah.
I felt like because I had a really rough childhood and a rough upbringing, and like I said, I moved out at 16. I got a job. I finished high school. I kept my job. I did really good. I didn't get any help from anyone. So I'm like, I did it.
Yeah,
Everyone else should be able to do it. Like, I did
sure.
it. But I also do feel like just my always chip on the shoulder attitude had a lot to do with that. And some people don't have the luxury of
Right,
having that attitude. Now I've realized that. But before then, I was
right.
just like, I did it. Like, what are these people complaining about? Like,
Why
get to
can't people?
work, or,
Yeah.
whatever.
Why can't people change who they are to benefit their own life?
Yeah.
Which, like everyone knows,
Yeah.
is not always the
It's like,
case.
can't be that easy.
Well, that's good. I mean, like, it's a prime example of like your mind gets changed. Like you've grown, you've
Yeah,
learned so
especially after
much, and
having
like you've seen
kids.
so much. I mean, oh yeah, I can't even. I have no clue when you get into that territory when it comes to kids.
Yeah, it
But it
definitely
definitely makes you a better
changes.
person, I would imagine.
It does, but like first it like breaks you apart and just like
Yeah.
ruins every not ruins. It demolishes every piece of who you were and like breaks you
Yeah.
down so far mentally. And it's like almost like real honestly, if you think about it, it's like the cult things. Like, they keep you awake, they don't let you sleep, they take away all your money, like you don't have freedom, you can't leave whenever you want to.
Yeah.
It's like all of those things they do in a cult to like control you and change your
Yeah.
way of
Break you
thinking. Or like
down.
what happens when you have a baby. It's like
Oh
you
God.
don't have any money anymore, they keep you up all the time, you can't just like go eat whatever you want to, do whatever you want to. A lot of times you
Right.
can't go see people, that used to be a big part of your life. And a lot of people drop out of your life, that were in it before, just because, it's different lifestyles now.
Exactly.
So it's like,
Yeah.
it really does change you, like for those first few years. Hard.
Yeah.
And then you come out the other side being a completely different person, real honestly.
That's what's up.
Don't have children. It's awful at
I
first.
don't even, dude. I don't even want a dog because it's like, well, then I can't just go wherever I
Yeah.
want to go at any time.
You gotta take the dog.
I got to do something. I mean, yeah, I think, it's not that there's something wrong with me, but I can hardly spend like every day with one person. So like adding kids on top of
That is
that,
so funny. Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like I think I would be down with marriage if like we live in separate houses and don't have
That's
kids.
so funny.
Like that shit would be dope.
Yeah,
Like
there
if
you
you
go.
really wanted
Well,
to,
that's just called a girlfriend. I mean, what would be the point of getting married?
Yeah.
There's like, you don't get any
you're
tax
right.
benefits.
I
You
guess I'm
don't
saying
get
that's the only way marriage would make sense to me.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, we're married, but You have your own places.
Get
You
your
can
own
do
space.
whatever you want. You can sleep with whoever you want too. That's fine.
Yeah, that's probably. I mean, there's
Some
probably
new
someone
age,
out
some
there
new
that
age
might
shit.
like that.
Yeah, right. I do love how I feel like growing up that you always hear the term like, oh, there's somebody for everybody. And it's like, go talk to the homeless guy on the street and see if you want to date that person. Like, that's honestly fine. Like, if you can't find somebody that wants to get in that lifestyle, then, what's the point? What's the point of you fucking with it?
Can you hear me burp in my throat through the mic over there?
No.
Okay, good, because I just did, and I was worried that maybe
No,
it was like super loud
I turned
on
the
your
gain
end.
up. No, it's like Zoom whenever you burp and the thing lights up or
Okay.
somebody farts. No.
Okay.
You can't hear that. And I go through all these anyway and take out like any
All
noise.
the burps.
Well, like beer cans opening.
Oh, nice.
Or like, I'll cut this out too. Lighters going off.
Okay.
It's like you can pick all that up and like see it. Oh, see, it didn't even pick up.
Oh, that's
I'm
interesting.
I'm super paranoid that I'm going to pause this and it won't play back. That happens to me every podcast. When you get really deep, and I'm just like...
Oh, and then you missed out on some of it?
No, I'm just like... A file can get corrupted sometimes. Like, it hasn't happened to me yet, but it's kind of one of those things where you're like, did I close the garage door? Like, that's why we did all the testing and stuff before I recorded.
Funny.
But yeah.
I had to. There was a client one time, awful client. I won't even get into it because it makes me so mad. They were the worst. And they did not want a particular agent who, by the way, was very prominent in their neighborhood. So she probably had like a lot of good buyers for their house. So I had the listing. Well, they didn't want her in the house because apparently she like slept with somebody's husband in the neighborhood. Like the stupidest shit that could possibly like be talked about in small town Texas. So I had to call her and tell her that my clients did not want her or any of clients that she represented in their house. And it was the most awful experience. But I recorded it, and it was like a 20-minute, and like I can just imagine being in her shoes and someone being like, hey, they said because you slept around the neighborhood that they don't want you in their house. Like, and she's a professional. I mean, she's like...
what does it have to do?
It's the stupidest thing. They were the most awful people. I hated them so much. And I'll say it to this day, I hated them. I absolutely hated them.
Yeah.
But I had to call her and tell her that. And she thought it was, I mean, I can't imagine all the thoughts that went through her head as far, from hearing that. And one of them was she thought that I was making it up and I just didn't want her to sell the house, which was awful for me. But through it all, it was like a 20-minute conversation, and she went through a huge range of emotions, and it got, it got even more intense after this phone call. There was like a bunch of instances where I had to deal with this situation again. But the main thing was I recorded all of it on my MacBook. Like, I video recorded myself on the phone with her, and it did not save the recording. Like, it was saved for a second, but then it wouldn't let me access it. So I was like, oh, please don't make me have to use this in court or, whatever comes from this. So thankfully I didn't have to access it again, but that agent probably still hates me. I see her face all the time. I mean, she's a prominent agent. She's really good at her job. And, knowing what I know now, I never would have agreed to that. I would have said, fuck you. You can have somebody else list your house. I'm not dealing with your neighborhood drama.
Oh, yeah.
But I was so eager and hungry to just, have a listing and work it and do all the things right. And my broker at the time, which she got fired a while back, but my broker at the time was like, yeah, well, that's their wish. You need to represent your client and do what they want. So, fuck everybody involved. That was an awful situation. But there's my nightmare story about a recording not being saved.
No, yeah, because that's one that's like, this is kind of no bullshit.
Yeah. And I needed, I needed to have, I thought out everything I was going to say.
Oh, nice.
All the bases that I needed to cover. I was ready for that phone call. And even before that, I like recorded myself. I was like, I don't want to make this phone call. This is the stupidest situation for me to be in. Like, this agent doesn't deserve this, but I gotta fucking do this anyways because my shitty clients are making me do it. And then I called her and was just like, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know, I don't know you. I'm even new to Austin. Like, I don't know. Does this shit happen often here? Is this a thing? Am I gonna have to deal with this every day? But yeah, they were awful. And so far I've had amazing clients since then. They were literally the only one awful client that I've had since I've been here.
I mean, it sounds like you did the right thing, though.
Yeah, I mean,
it sounds like you weren't in a position to like take a stance too hard about like, that's kind of bullshit, and we'll just drop this client.
Yeah, well, what I should have done is
you don't want to drop them. I mean, those are hard to get. I mean, I don't know how everything works, but...
Yeah, looking back, they pushed me around a lot on that transaction and had me do a lot of things that I didn't want to do. And looking back now, if anybody were to do that, I wouldn't just be like, no, fuck you. Like, I'm not representing you. I would have, educated them a little bit more and been like, that doesn't really matter. And if you're super concerned about that, then, there's other measures we can take, let's talk more about why you think just because somebody sleeps around that they are this awful human being that you can't have in your house. And blah, blah. Oh, I forgot to mention. So the agent, I guess they had reached out to her to list their house first, that agent. And she had accidentally... They wanted to list for $1.3 million, which is a lot for that neighborhood. And so she accidentally responded to them and said, he's smoking crack if he thinks he's going to get $1.3 million. And he's like, used to be a pastor, like very religious. And if you say he's smoking crack, he like took that so personal, not realizing that that's kind of like a saying.
There's been pastors that got excommunicated from the church.
For smoking crack?
Yeah, there's a famous evangelical pastor, I think, in either Colorado or one of the Four Corner states. And he was the pastor to George Bush. And turns out he was smoking crack and having gay sex. And he got found out.
Oh, no.
And it's like, he's also pretty awesome. I mean, like, he was horrible with like what he was preaching.
But that's hilarious.
But like his family stuck with him actually, and like I don't know, it's pretty interesting. Like, but yeah, I mean, if you come at a pastor, I mean that's their livelihood. Your life is over.
Well, he was retiring.
Oh
I
God.
mean, yeah, he was selling his house. He was retiring.
Right, and obviously she doesn't
anymore.
mean you were smoking crack. And like, that's the old school way of saying like.
Yeah, he was older too, so I mean, you can't really like joke about things like that or use those kind of sayings with people who are older. It gets a little bit more interesting.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's okay to think it. So he sent it accidentally, right?
Yeah, she sent it accidentally to him, and they had come up with this idea that she was sleeping around the neighborhood, which I honestly don't even think she was. She was just she's very gorgeous, so she's a very pretty single girl in the neighborhood, and they're like making up rumors about her. It just seems so.
Well, there is. I mean,
predictable and boring. Like, of course.
I mean, there's a big difference between private virtue and public virtue. Like, so what if you are doing, you could be doing all sorts of shit, but if it's not getting in the way of your business, like.
Yeah, that's another thing. What if she had really good buyer? Like, if you would have been nicer to her,
you could have dropped the best person you had.
A good buyer. They definitely had the best house in the neighborhood. Somebody would have wanted it. You know?
Yeah, and I think, I mean, obviously, anytime you're doing business, like, you don't want to burn bridges. But I could imagine real estate, it can be, like, way more harmful. Like, getting into somebody's shit list, it's like, dude, this grudge is for life. Like, you know what I mean? You can't really, like, talk your way through something like that happening.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
something
like
that
well, I guess now we can't really, maybe one day things would change, but
Yeah, I just keep hoping, like, every time somebody sends me a house in the area that she's in, I'm like, please don't be her listing. Like, I don't want to have to talk to her. I'm sure she hates me. Ugh. But
Yeah.
I mean, eventually it's going to happen. I mean, she's, like I
W-
said, she's a very successful
What's
agent
gonna happen
in
on
the
that
area.
day? You're just gonna have to
I
bite the
don't know.
bullet,
Yeah,
take it on the chin.
I'm just gonna call her, or
You gonna
I'm just
mention
gonna
it or
go
anything?
about whatever the process is to view the house, or whatever it is. I'm gonna just have to do it, and
Yeah.
hopefully she's not like, no, fuck you. Remember when you did this to me?
The life of a go-getter.
Yeah.
That's how it is. Business.
Whatever happens, happens. See.
Cool.
But yeah, a lot of times with other agents, you can kind of get into a spat. I kind of got I've remained very professional, but I got furious, and I don't know if it's just because it was so close to the heart, but I got very angry at the agent who was on the other end of Aaron and Laura's house. I was
Oh
pretty,
yeah.
yeah, I was pissed at that guy, and I remained professional because I knew that
Who,
they
that
liked the
wasn't
house so much.
that wasn't Travis or Carissa, right?
No, no.
This is a seller or
Yeah,
was it a real estate
the seller's
person?
agent on Aaron and Laura's house. His name was
You don't have to say it if you don't want to.
I don't remember it anyways. Not good with names or titles, obviously, but yeah, he so mad. He just did a lot of things. And all agents do them. They have their little tweaks and their little things that they don't do like everybody else, just not thinking about them, or maybe they haven't figured out their process yet, but they just can drop the ball so many times, and it's so easy to do, and it just infuriates me about it because and it shouldn't, because I've been there and I've dropped the ball for clients before in the past, but I don't know. I can definitely get my feelings wrapped up in there. But I wanted
Yeah.
so bad for them to be like, no, fuck that. Like the third time, because we went through 3 rounds of contracts. They denied our offer on the
Oh my
first
God.
one, took another offer, that fell through. They denied our offer the second time, took another offer, then that fell through, and then finally came to us the third time. And I wanted so bad for them to be like, no, we're not interested anymore. So I could just tell that guy to go fuck off. I wanted to
Yeah,
so
right.
bad, but I was nice and professional, and they loved the house, so we made it work. But I really want to tell that guy to fuck off. But in the end, I think that his clients were like upset with them. So that's kind of a better version of fuck off.
Well, just budgeting for all that, for moving and everything involved, it's so difficult, right? Because
Yeah.
can't so many things happen to where it's like, well, I had this much cushion, and then
Yeah,
it's such a nightmare. I mean, I was
And
definitely super relieved when everything was like said and done. It's just like,
My
God,
gosh,
it is
theirs
such
was
a
so-
bitch to do all that.
there were so
There's a
many
lot-
factors
lot
in
of
theirs
hang-ups.
that had to go right without
Oh yeah,
without it falling apart, and they all did. Like by a miracle, they all did. Because we needed a cash offer, and we got that, and then we needed to close quickly so that they would have the funds for theirs, and we got that, which was a miracle. They fucked with us a little bit during the option period, but we got it figured out. And then on their house, and then we needed this house to appraise, to pass inspections, to not be falling apart on the inside. Just all of these things had to come together, and they did, and they just did. So very thankful to
Yeah.
that. And I feel like that has been happening to me a lot lately. Just a lot of my transactions are just flowing evenly, which is good.
even
Obviously.
flow. Do you like Eddie Vedder?
Do what?
Do you like Eddie Vedder?
Eddie Vedder?
Wait, no, that's the guy, right? That he sings Jeremy Spoken Glass Pearl Jam.
Pearl Jam.
Yeah. You said even flow, made me think of that song.
That's funny.
Even flow, gonna sing
Oh, I didn't
to
recognize
the
it the first time.
microphone. Sorry, I can't help
I
myself.
recognize
When
it
you
now,
can hear
but
yourself,
the
I'm
first
just
one,
like,
I did not.
yeah.
I didn't get it.
Yeah. I'm out there trying to throw it out there. So, man, like, real estate definitely sounds rough.
Golly, it's been crazy lately.
So, did you work at Wild West? Is that true? Did you used to work there back in the day?
Wild West.
No, what was that place called in Midland?
Rockin' Rodeo.
Rockin' Rodeo.
Mm-hmm.
Did you work there?
Yeah, for a long time.
What was that like? For a long time?
Yeah, for a long time. I mean, I made really good money. I didn't have to work, but like 2 to 3 days a week. And yeah, I made really good money. I was able to go to school for a portion while I was there. So, and before that, well, Rockin' Rodeo and Graham's were owned by the same people. So
I think I remember
I
that.
actually worked at Graham's, and I was temporarily transferred to Rockin' Rodeo whenever I first started, and whenever I met Rustin, and then I don't know, they just kept me.
Every time I'd like leave school and go back to Midland, like that was a place I'd usually hit up, and I did see Rustin there a lot, and I'd heard that you worked there, and I just thought like that had to be interesting because I went there one time and I got a gun pulled on me in the parking lot.
Oh my gosh, I watched a guy
people got like stupid drunk, like just like,
oh yeah,
and wouldn't get kicked out. I mean, I'm glad the cops were there. The cops were almost always there.
Yeah, they always like preached to us about over serving, but really the owners were always there like, give them another drink. Yeah. Give them another drink.
Yeah, this is Texas. It's not.
They did not care as long as you had money.
Yeah.
Which is scary because thinking back on it now, a lot of the responsibility falls on the bartender if they were to get into a wreck.
They're the ones ultimately who get screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took my TABC earlier this year.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, when I was working at HEB, because you have to, like, curbside, people get beer or whatever, you have to go through all the stuff. And they definitely, like, try and scare the shit out of you about, like, what can go wrong. And it's like, the business won't be fucked, like, you, the person with the minimum wage job.
Yeah, it falls on you personally, which is crazy.
Yeah, especially because, like, I've been to other cities where they just cut you off. They straight up, like, Texas is weird. Like, they'll just let you keep going endlessly. Like, it's pretty rare to get cut off, I seem like.
And then they, like, let you get drunk enough, and then they take you to jail. So it's like, oh, speaking of, I've seen...
This is great.
Yeah,
the business gets all their money. The city will get all their money.
Yeah. They just drain them completely.
Drunk asshole.
And it's like because all the people or all the security guards are like off-duty police officers. All they've got to do is make a phone call, and they're all like friends. Like we were all all the bartenders were friends with the police.
Sure.
So it's like the power that I had, if I wanted it, I could easily be like, this guy, like, get him out of here, and they would just like take him to jail.
Yeah.
Like they would kick him out. They'd kick him out, and then they'd be drunk, so you can't drive. So you either need to be cognitive enough to order a taxi.
Call a taxi, yeah.
And that time there's no Uber, so it's just you have to call a taxi company to come pick you up. And if you can't do that, then you're going to jail. So it's went.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say I went to. I used to frequent this place called Barflies in Austin. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah, I have.
They have like really good mixed drinks. Like I'll go there and get Tom Collins and Manhattan and stuff like that. And they make cheeseburgers downstairs. But it's a really chill place. And they have kind of like a patio area. It's really small. And I drank way too much there and got kicked out. And I was like blackout the fuck drunk. And I drove a friend from work there. And he like cut me off, right? Uh-huh. And he called me a cab, and he was mad. The bartender was fucking mad.
Oh, the bartender was mad?
Yeah.
Were you mean to him?
I don't know.
Remember?
I'm sure I was a huge prick. That's usually what happens. Really? If I've had way too much to drunk, I'll say whatever the fuck it comes to mind. Like, there's no limit for sure. And I'm like, fuck you, dude. Like, just talk, fuck you, man. Bitch.
Yeah,
like,
just
probably
whatever.
Talking shit. Like, not even. I mean, I hardly remember. I just remember, like, frames. You know what I mean? Like, when you, like, really black out.
Yeah.
So he called a cab for me. I still have my keys. I get in the cab, And I handed the cabbie $20 and I said, "Get the fuck out of here. I'm getting out of your car." He got out of his car and just drove myself home.
Oh my god.
And it's like I had no idea. Like I honestly didn't know like the bartender could get fucked if like something happened to me or somebody else or like.
That sounds awful.
I mean, it's nuts. Yeah, I haven't been back since. I'll say that. There's no way they would recognize me now. But I recommend it. Them drinks will get you fucked up. You're getting a good price.
I remember the only time that I've driven like drunk was I was like 16 and I was driving to my dad's. He had like some money or something he was going to give me, so it was like, I've got to get there and get the money or whatever the situation was. But I had smoked a cigarette that was soaked in promethazine.
Oh, hell yeah.
And
I love those.
Yeah, I had never done that before. I didn't even really know what it was.
So you unknowingly did?
Yeah, kinda. I mean, the girl I was with was much more experienced in this particular chemistry than I was. And she was like, "Oh yeah, it's fine. Like it's not like a drug. You know, it's not like a drug or anything. Like this is fine." So I was like, "Oh yeah, well, I mean, if it's fine, then it's fine." Okay, and so yeah, I smoked the whole thing, and then I like drank a beer, and I was a tiny 16-year-old girl, like, and having to drive across. So I was in West Odessa, and my dad lives like halfway to Crane. So I had to drive this long stretch of highway, and I just remember like being so scared and going like 25 miles an hour. And just like feeling the car like be so wompy. It was very dangerous. And I remember after that point, I was like, I can't. I've been very careful to watch my drinking and make sure, you know, because that like awful conscience thing, it like won't let me drive once I'm at that point. Which is good. Yeah. It's a good thing to have that, you know, I experienced a bad situation about it. So young that it's like, it's not something that I want to do even whenever I'm blacked out. Even whenever I'm like, no, fuck you, I'm going to do what I want. It's like, you know.
I'm going to do what I want and sleep here.
Yeah.
I'm going to sleep it off.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, if your main thing on blackout is go to sleep, you're good. Like, you probably end up okay. I mean.
You know, I don't ever feel like I blacked out too much until recently. Like, now I'll drink a couple of drinks and then not be able to remember the rest of the night, and that's happened like quite a few times whenever I drink
really?
Recently. And you know, I've never, even whenever
but
I got
your behavior
super drunk,
isn't like crazy.
So my one like behavior thing.
Do you ever feel like it's crazy when you wake up the next day and you're like, was I like?
Sometimes I'll get like embarrassed over things that I said or did, like little splotches that I remember. But the one thing I like to do whenever I'm out drinking with friends is I get really drunk and then I disappear. Like I ditch my friends and just go exploring on my own. I'm like, this is amazing. Like this is freedom. I'm just out in the world. Being an adult.
Yeah.
Like I'm still not convinced that I'm an adult yet. So it's like doing things on my own and like I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
Right.
Which just seems so silly.
Yeah, and what's weird is like when you're doing that, really you're like chasing your youth and like pining for those days where like you really had no responsibility. Mm-hmm. Like, no, I'm an adult. I'm gonna give up my responsibility and fucking run off and make everybody nervous wreck.
Yeah, scare all of my friends into thinking I was kidnapped or something.
I did that at a concert in Austin once when Aaron was living in San Marcos with Rustin and Kelsey and Kinsey back in those days. And I was just like weekend roommate in San Marcos. Like me and Spencer would like go up there like every other weekend. Like there's nothing cool going on at Baylor. You know, we would just like, all right, time to go weekend roommates. Because the parties were better out there. We could go to Austin. And one time I went to Austin to watch a Chitty Bang concert.
Okay.
Do you know who that is?
I think I've heard of them.
They did that song Kids. It's like a remake of that MGMT song. They were big for a little bit, you know, for kids. And I just like disappeared. because I had pre-gamed way too hard and
Oh,
just
yeah.
like, I mean, it's happened to everybody.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
It happened to Aaron. I'm pretty sure it happened to Rustin where he got left behind.
Yeah.
And I like black out, and the next thing I know, I'm in a cab. Like I remember like chasing down a cabbie, and like, oh shit, help! And
Help.
yeah, I don't know what happened. I think I was sleeping in the grass or some stuff. Like, I don't really remember how I
Help,
got
I
into
need
the
to get
cab.
somewhere.
And he took the cab all the way to San Marcos from Austin. And I
Did you
just like
pay
go
him?
home. Yeah, I paid him. Like, thank God I had the money because it was $120.
My God.
This is a cab. This is before Uber and shit, right? And I get home, I get to like Aaron's place or whatever, and I think Laura was staying there that weekend as well. And I'm just like go in and just really, I don't even think anyone's worried. I just go to sleep on the couch and just wake up to like, oh my God, you're here. Just like, yeah, man, I made it. I'm sorry, I don't know what happened. And they're like, we called the hospital, we called all the jails.
Oh my God.
Just like, well, I'm good. I made it. I'm broke as shit for this week because I spent all my allowance.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I definitely am a fan of like, just don't even bring your car. It's
Yeah.
better if you go to jail for being drunk in public than like doing something really stupid.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Yeah,
no
for
public
real.
intoxication ain't too big of a deal. It's going to suck. You're going to pay a lot of money and you're going to feel like you hate yourself for a while, but you're not going to like kill somebody or damage a car or stuff like that. But
Yeah, it's not really safe, I feel like, for a girl to get like super drunk.
no,
It's- but it-
no,
but-
it's
but a
not
lot of
at
times-
all.
But a lot of times, I mean, I have, like downtown and like situations like that without thinking. And then I get into like a weird, iffy situation where I'm like in an alley and I get like a flashback in an alley and I'm like, I should not be here. This is not safe for me. I need to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Or just act sporadic and they won't fuck with you because they'll
Right.
think you're crazy.
Well, I would have the opposite problem. Like, he'd be like, this dude's pretty aggressive. Like, he might do some shit. So I have like a different problem where like people be like scared because if I'm like getting a little crunk, like, and you get that crazy look in your eye,
Yeah.
people be like, I think it's time for you to leave.
I was
And
talking about that
throw you out.
with Rustin the other day. Of just like the different dynamics for a dude and a girl that are like walking at night. Because he was saying he's been walking. He's doing this like crazy hike thing where he's gonna go
Oh
for
yeah,
a
I hear
weekend.
he's been
And,
walking a whole lot.
yeah, so he's like walking all the time.
Sure.
But he's like, I can't do it at night because if I like walk up on people, they're like scared of me. And I'm like, I wonder what that feeling is like because I can't walk at night because if anybody walks up on me, I'm scared.
It's
the
a great,
total
it's a
opposite.
great feeling. I'll tell you that.
You like, is it? So you could just be
No,
like,
I mean, no, it's. I mean, I understand his point. That's a little crazy.
'Cause
I,
then you, like,
I
go
never
out
had
of
that
your
thought
way.
walking around at night.
really?
No,
But
I mean,
he's like walking like he's like power walking. So I definitely can see why it's scary.
yeah,
Imagine if you were just power walking through your
I will-
neighborhood at night
yeah.
and you like walk up on somebody.
That's
You're gonna
true.
be like, oh no.
I will say, like, a lot of times, like, if I'll park on the side of the road over here and, like, somebody's walking down the sidewalk and I, like, say, get out of the car,
You're
like, as soon as they see me, they cross the street and walk on the other sidewalk. I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay, I understand. All I was going to do is
Yeah.
say hi
Yeah.
and walk to my house, but no, I definitely think that is a much better problem than, like, you could just be a victim
Yeah.
if you're like too intoxicated to like handle your business,
I was in this situation at a house one time, a listing appointment. Small older man. He had called me several times and like talked to me about his house and whatever. He seemed harmless. It didn't even cross my mind to be concerned about him. And so I said, okay, well, I need to see the house in order to price it correctly, blah, blah, blah. And so I set up an appointment with him. And as soon as I pulled up, I don't know, I just got like a weird vibe. Like he wasn't even outside yet. I got a weird vibe and I texted Rustin the address and I said, hey, I didn't tell you where I was going, but here's where I am just in case. And I don't know, like I got my phone ready, and I never do this. I mean, I don't ever get weird vibes. Um, but this time it was like super weird. So I like got my phone ready to call 911 for some reason, and just like had all my stuff together. And then he opened the door, and I was like, oh, hi. You know, he seems like a harmless old man, but I don't know. There was something about him that was freaking me the fuck out. So we get inside the house, he shuts the door and then locks it. And I was like I very blatantly like looked at him, like I didn't say anything, but I was like, you know, gave him the look like, why would you lock that? And he's like, and so with, you know, without me saying anything, he says, oh, I just do that out of habit. And then he left it. And I was like, okay, well, let's undo it.
Right.
And so
yeah.
I immediately unlocked the door. Like he, I think, can sense that I'm uncomfortable, and it's like he doesn't care. And so I was like, well, that's a fucking bad sign if somebody doesn't care that you're uncomfortable in their house. And so I was like, okay, well, show me the house. So, because I wanted him to be like walking in, I want to like keep an eye on this guy because I don't know what the fuck's about to happen. And sure enough, we like go into, and he like walks around to a bedroom. He's like showing me the house, and then he walks around to a bedroom, and he was like, and here's this bedroom, like waiting for me to go in. So I just like peek my head around the corner. This fucking guy, I kid you not, sniffed my head. He like got his face so close to my head that I thought he was about to just like throw me
Like
down
to
on
the
the ground.
side of your
Like,
head?
because okay, so here's
Or,
the
like,
doorway.
your hair
I
behind
leaned
you?
my head into the doorway because I wasn't about to walk in the bedroom because I was I don't know,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
you're
just
just taking a
feeling,
quick look.
I was just like trying to like keep
Yeah.
him where I could see him. And yeah, just looked around this way, and then he like steps closer, and my heart starts beating really fast. I thought he was gonna like grab my neck and like throw me down, or I don't know what I thought. And so I like backed up, and I like made very clear eye contact with him that was like, I know you're up to something. Like this does not feel right. Something's wrong. And I definitely think he felt it and was like didn't like still didn't show that he cared. So I was like, this guy's gonna fucking murder me in this
So
house.
creepy.
So I don't know, I just kept a strong stance, and my heart was beating really fast the whole time, but I was just like I'm ready. Like I've got adrenaline going. I'm fucking ready to take you, little old man. Yeah, and then we finished the tour, and then his son came home, and I mean, this was like the tour took like 30 minutes. He was taking forever, and like I don't know, just like stopping and looking at me weird, like while after he would say something. So super weird vibes the whole time. Then we finally sit down at the kitchen, and I like sit across from him because I want like space between me and this
Yeah,
guy.
some
Yeah, so
yeah,
I'm like showing him
barrier.
paperwork and like talking about the process, and you know, just I don't know, just trying to like buy my time until I can like work my way out of the situation. Well, his son gets home, and so I'm like, oh, thank God, another person. And then his son like comes in and is like looking at me weird, and then
He has
looking
a
at his
flat
dad
affect.
weird, and I'm like, everybody's fucking gonna look at me weird in this house. Like, does he know that his dad's a killer right now? That's what I'm thinking, like while I'm in the house. But anyways, I
You don't
didn't
think
take
he
the
had
listing.
like?
I was way too paranoid.
Do you just have like a really
Did you hear
flat
that story?
affect, or?
Oh, okay. I thought maybe he came out to like ask me questions about the story.
Yeah, this is the co-host right here. I have thought about setting up 3. I just don't know how to do it on this computer because there's only so many USBs. So you probably have to get an adapter or something like that.
That would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, the
People to
computer
chime
is
in.
not the way to do it. Like having a soundboard is definitely the way to do it. And then you can just have a laptop so you don't have to like set up so much stuff.
Soundboard
But
seems
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, they're not cheap though. Like microphones are actually cheaper.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I definitely want to just like buy different equipment as I go along.
Sure.
Damn, dude, that's crazy.
I think about it all the time.
I feel like, I mean, that could be an episode of Forensic Files. You know what I mean? Like somebody's just like, I kill real estate
So,
agents.
one of the things that he had told me over the phone was like he has this like backwoods house in Idaho or somewhere, and he was like, we don't have any electricity at this house, And this was beforehand, and
It's
I
like I just
still
make
didn't.
pipe bombs here.
Yeah, yeah. So I still didn't get any triggers from this until I got to the house. But beforehand, he was telling me about this house that he has in Idaho, that like him and his family are building from scratch. They're like doing all the building themselves, and that's why he's moving and he needs to sell this house. And his wife is out there now, and there's no cell service, and there's no internet, there's no like electricity going to the property. And so I'm like, okay, so after all this happens, I was like, is he gonna, what, like, was he gonna kill me and take me out to this random property he was telling me about? It was just so stupid. He's probably just a nice old man,
Have a
and
shallow
I'm just,
grave.
yeah, I'm just a paranoid person. Probably sweet as can be, and I just got in my head about it.
Trust your instincts.
Yeah, that's what
I think that's always the best
yeah.
thing to do when there's
I
any
definitely don't regret
perceived
the way I
threat.
reacted and letting that listing go.
Yeah. But I can understand you don't want to like be that person that somebody's like, why are they acting like I'm not going to do something?
And sometimes I'm like very.
But you can pick up somebody's facial expression.
Yeah,
what the hell's
his
going
vibe
on.
definitely like
can
took
tell.
any guilt away.
Yeah.
I did not have any guilt about the way I reacted to him or the way I talked to him or anything I did, because I still feel like maybe I was too nice for the situation. Like, should I have just left and been like, hey, I forgot, I've got something going on, I gotta go. Like, after he locked the door, should I have just been like, oh, I'm sorry, I'll schedule another time or whatever?
Yeah, it's got to be the setting. That's what's most disturbing. It's like, it'd be one thing if this guy's in public, or because like working at the state hospital, like I worked with a guy that like strangled somebody to death. I worked with like child molesters and like all these people.
Do you feel like you can get the
are just,
vibe
like,
from them? Or do you like, or can you not tell most of the time?
No, you can usually tell. And then I would like usually go to the doctor or nurse and be like, what's going on with this person?
Yeah.
Because like I was, an orderly or PNA, so like unless I like brought the patient in from admissions, I wouldn't always know like why they're there exactly. But like, yeah, you could definitely tell. Like somebody's face is gonna tell the whole story most of the time.
Okay.
Like, and the weird thing is like child molesters in particular, you'd be like, that dude, like especially people that work there a long time, like. My boss at the time, Jack, he'd been working there for like 30 plus years. He's an older guy, pretty well traveled around America or whatever, worked a lot of jobs. And like, he would always like him and Lloyd, this other guy that worked there for years, would always be like, look at this fucking dude right here, Alex. Like, this dude's a fucking child molester. Like,
wow, so they like
the
bet
way they
and
look,
then they like test themselves?
They'd be like, look. And then we'd go and he'd pull up the chart and be like, see, I fucking told you. And he would be right every time. So eventually you do kind of get this, like, just by looking at them, you can kind of guess the illness.
Okay.
Because, I mean, the way they communicate and, like...
Yeah, I imagine it's, probably the same characteristics,
Yeah, absolutely. It was very, like, they just were creepy. Creepy as fuck.
That's so
like,
weird. There's a
even
dad
if you're not
at the
threatened by
girls'
them,
school.
you're just like, something is going on with this fucking guy.
Yeah, there's a dad at the girls' old school that I swear he, like, definitely gave off a child molester vibe. And I won't name his name or anything. He doesn't wear sweatpants. He's, like, very well put together, but, like...
Oh, even scarier.
Yeah, but, like...
He's not a sloppy child molester.
Yeah, he's, like, a casual... But he was a dad of one of the kids there. And I don't know. It's just every time I'm like, they had talked about like setting up a play date with the girls, and I was like, oh yeah, maybe. And inside I was like, fuck no, you fucking creepy dude. Like you're definitely like, I don't know. There was lots of vibes. No, he had a wife. And she would come up frequently too to pick their kids up, but.
And she just looked dead inside.
I don't know. There was something about them that I was like. Yeah. There's something off, like so far off that I would be willing to put money on it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, usually, yeah. I mean, like, the thing is with something like that is like, even if you're wrong, like ultimately, it's good. There's no sort of like.
And I would never say that to them because obviously you can't just be calling people child molesters and pedophiles.
Yeah, I'd be like, hey man, you have kind of a weird look to you. You like diddle kids or?
Yeah, just
It would be great to just do that type of shit to people. You just we're antisocial
just like,
as shit, and you're just
how
like
fast
a huge
can you
bully.
offend somebody?
Oh, I think, dude, sometimes, like, I swear to God, I do have definitely, like, an antisocial side to where, like, I swear I could do that all day. If I really wanted to, just be like,
oh, yeah.
I'll just run my mouth and say whatever.
That's hilarious. I have anxiety that I'm going to do that. I've never done
really?
it, but, like, that I'm going to say
Yeah,
the
I
thoughts
get
that
that
pop into
too.
my head.
I get that.
You know, it's like the anxiety of, like, oh, am I going to go off this bridge really quick? Like, will I ever know that weird, there's a name for it, but yeah, I get that with like the thoughts that pop in my head. I'm like scared that I'm gonna say them out loud, or scared that they like are showing up on my face as I'm thinking them.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, isn't that terrifying if like you're disgusted by something and then your face shows the disgust, but it's like something like it's like the way somebody looks or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm usually just a coward. If somebody said something, I would just backpedal. I'd be like, no, I was thinking about this other thing.
Yeah, and see,
Not
if
the
somebody
weird
were to
shit
ever,
that you're talking about.
Yeah, if somebody were ever, say anything or be like, is something okay, or, are you okay, or anything like that, that's almost better than them like looking at you and thinking it and not saying anything, because that's awful to me.
I definitely think I remember like when I was in college, like like you kind of have like a bunch of different groups. I mean, just like any other, when you're in school, like you're forced to see people, so naturally like you get pretty social just with different groups of people. And there's like this one group I used to hang out with like later in my college days, like a lot of girls from a certain sorority, and a lot of my like friends I'd made through like just school or partying or whatever. And like they literally compiled a list of just like shit that Alex says, because I was so just like off the handle. Like I definitely think like as far as
so you're
like
comfortable
social
with just
maturity
saying
or
whatever.
emotional maturity, I was always like really late to the party.
Okay.
Like I feel like just now I'm okay at not saying inappropriate shit at any gathering, family. Like I've had people tell me like, do you just say shit to get a rise out of people? I'm just like, I guess that's what I'm doing. I like wasn't even aware of it for so long. So like, yeah, I think I do have the anxiety, but also have the experience of like saying stupid shit and like still being fine. Like at the end of the day, like, because I feel like most people aren't really listening anyway that closely. And if somebody is, it's kind of like, well, fuck you. I mean,
yeah,
you can think what you want. I'll say dumb shit, but I do get afraid of saying dumb shit. Like I will like take a step back, be like, all right, man.
Is that
like,
super dumb?
Just like, don't say anything right now. Like,
yeah, I have a problem.
But at the same time, you get shit for not saying anything.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Like I definitely thought.
Like if you're too quiet,
I thought you were like really quiet, and I'm like, oh, I guess you didn't want to say anything.
Yeah, I've got to be quiet because Rustin's louder, and he's just gonna say what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, of course. And the longer I've known you guys, I'm just like, okay, I understand. Yeah, I'm talking about like very initial like hanging out with you guys and your kids.
For sure.
Because I don't think I knew y'all as a couple before y'all had kids.
Yeah, because
we had kids pretty fast.
We had kids right away. Yeah.
Okay.
It was totally by accident,
it felt
but
very fast.
It happens.
Then all of a sudden, Rustin's like, I have 3 kids now. I'm like, didn't you just move back to Midland, bro?
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
Yeah, because
now we have 3.
Years turn into months.
Yeah, it's crazy. Sure. It goes pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah. I mean...
Yeah, I definitely think I have a problem with, like, trying to be funny in situations where people like don't want you to be funny. And I don't mean like at a funeral or anything like that. I'm just like trying to be funny all the time, and then I end up saying something that like really throws people off, or they don't get it, or they don't understand the reference, and then it's very awkward.
Yeah, my go-to is that was my really bad attempt at humor.
Yeah,
and then I usually just awkwardly smile, and people are just like,
like, oh, okay. And then they feel sorry for you.
Anyway.
I told the neighbor the other day, it was so awful. It was so awful. the dog, the dogs get out all the fucking time, like all the time.
Yeah, they're a team.
It's awful. But the neighbor called us while we were like in Marble Falls and was like, "Hey, your dogs got out. You know what? What do you want me to do?" And I was like, "Oh, well, you could just let them in the house. The door's unlocked." And he was like, "The door's unlocked?" And I was like, "Yeah, don't judge me. Just trying to be
doors
funny.
unlock people.
Yeah, don't judge me. We fucking don't have our shit
And
together."
then he took it serious?
And he said,
Oh, no.
"Oh my God, it was awful." He said, "I did not say that with a judging tone." And I was like, "Oh shit. Oh no."
All right, somebody
I was
ate
like-
their Wheaties
I was
this
like,
morning.
"Oh, I was just trying to be funny. I was just being funny." He was, "Yeah, well, I'll let them in. They're in now." And I was like, "How was he offended by that?" And then I texted him again later and was like, "Sorry, that was
Right,
my
you can't
attempt
even-
at being funny.
Right.
I was just, sometimes I'm not funny and it's just awkward." And he was like, "It's fine." I was like, "Okay."
like,
he
yeah,
was
and
like
sometimes you're a
really
dick.
offended. He was like, "Maybe you are a dick."
Wait, so you said don't judge me through text?
No, I was over the phone.
Oh,
and then
well,
after,
what the fuck? I could
Yeah,
understand if you
yeah.
text, like, because
Yeah, I
you
said,
can't.
"Yeah,
there's
don't
no
judge me."
tone, there's no sarcasm.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah, come on, dude.
Yeah.
But I get it. I mean, I get it. Sometimes, like, it's just the last thing you want to hear from
okay,
somebody.
so first of all, he really did say, "You leave your doors unlocked?" Like, he was judging me.
He was mad because you got called out. That's what happened. He couldn't even, like, take it as a light jab and
Yeah,
say, oh,
maybe
okay,
he
I
was.
guess you're right.
Yeah, maybe he really was,
Yeah.
like, judging me. And then I said that, and he was like,
It happens.
"Oh, fuck." Like, he was like, "Oh, fuck," instead of
Yeah.
me.
Well, when you say, like, some smart-ass shit and then somebody, like, immediately gets you, you're just like, God damn it.
Yeah,
They got
because
me.
I mean,
I'm
I
fucked.
definitely felt like he was, but I was like in a jokingly way. Because of course you're gonna judge somebody who doesn't lock their door. Like, it's fine. Judge me because I'm a basket case and we don't fucking lock the door because we're hurting 5 people,
Yeah.
out the door. Of course, shit's gonna happen. We leave the door unlocked. So yeah, you're absolutely well within your right to judge me.
Yeah. Do you think, do you get along with everybody in the neighborhood pretty well?
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna tell you some neighborhood
Because
drama.
there's something I gotta notice. Like I've been going there in Laura's place a little more often, and I'm just like, some of these people seem pretty nosy.
Yeah. Okay. So,
It's a little different than the hood over here.
yeah.
I'm in the barrio. People don't give a fuck over here.
I don't know if they're necessarily nosy towards me or if they just don't give a fuck about me. So, I just recently, I've lived there for 2 years, and I recently got added to the neighborhood mom chat group. But I only got added because Laura got added. And I was like, "Oh, this is my friend."
Sounds about right.
Yeah, so I was like, "Fuck you guys. I've got 3 kids. I've got more kids than all of you. I'm fucking hurting children over here. I'm reaching out to all of you personally to be like, hey, help me with the neighborhood garden, or help me do this, or come to my open house, or like, I'm fucking talking to
Right,
all
you're
of you,
actually making
and
an
nobody
effort.
thought
Yeah.
to put me in the group text. Like, fuck you guys. I've been here 2 years. I've been making a splash for 2 years. And they only add me because they added Laura. And they're like, "Oh, Laura, welcome to the neighborhood. I'm blah, 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 at blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, fuck you guys. Fuck all of you.
Laura,
I tried so hard. I added all of you on Facebook. I freaking reached out to all of you. Like, fuck you guys. For real, though. I fucking became secretary
So
of the
wait,
neighborhood
okay,
association.
So now, are you like gonna stick with them after you were pretty much ignored?
I don't know.
Until,
I was
like,
pretty
you know what I mean? 'Cause
irritated
then
about
it's
it,
like,
but then I don't want to make it bad for Laura because I'm a
right.
bitch.
Yeah, it's more.
So I
it's
just
more than just you at this
participate
point.
and like people's texts or whatever.
Yeah, you're just keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
Have you seen there's a great movie out kind of about like suburban life. You don't live in the suburbs, but kind of about like social life in like a neighborhood.
Really?
And it's one of the most like out there movies. It's called Greener Grass.
Oh yeah, I did see that
You
one.
saw that? That was one of the weirdest fucking movies I've
I
ever
really
seen.
liked
But I was
it.
just like, this is pretty cool. I mean, just because of how weird it was, but it was like super surreal. And I feel like almost uncomfortable in like tight neighborhoods like that. Like I don't know, like I guess I don't know. I guess just like being from a like
Yeah.
smaller neighborhood, less income, less like community organized. I mean,
Yeah, I thought
it
it was
does
going to be
feel
different
strange.
because it's Austin. So I thought it was going to be like, like there's some weird people in the neighborhood. There's some fucking devil worshippers
Yeah.
around the corner, or there's
Yeah, a little more
some,
diverse.
I thought there was going to be some crazy stuff going on, but it is kind of, I mean, I definitely like some of the people in the neighborhood, and I like a lot of aspects about it. But yeah, it does really have that kind of like suburbia type of feel to it. And obviously,
Yeah.
I'm still pretty upset that I wasn't added to the group chat sooner. I didn't even know it existed. So there's that.
Oh, you didn't even know about it.
Yeah, I didn't even know about it. Or else I would have been like,
You
I
weren't
probably
you
would have been
weren't
brave
bringing
enough
enough
to been
Jello
like,
to people's houses.
yeah, I guess
Apparently.
not. Whenever we moved in, I took gifts to all of the neighbors, like a little tin can with some seeds and a little note. The note said, hey, just so you know, our fucking dog gets out all the time, no matter what we put her in. So we just moved in. If you see her, she's ours.
Right.
So everybody's seen the dog. Everybody's seen the dog. They've got to know who we are. But anyways,
Hey, you know what I say? Fuck them.
yeah, for real.
If they, it is weird though. I mean, like, you definitely don't want to like force yourself into like every aspect
Yeah.
of people's lives, and you don't want to be that way. But like, it still hurts for sure. Like, it is funny you mentioned Laura, because Laura will make you feel like a social retard because she's very good at like
She is
keeping
so
up
good.
relationships, and like she's never had a shortage of like friends or like people. And half the time the social events I go to, and probably Aaron's, are because of Laura, like just because she's so good at organizing stuff like that. Anyway,
She really is. And I have
'Cause-
like 4 friends, and Laura's one of them.
yeah. Me too, yeah. I have about 4, and Laura's one of them for sure. But yeah, like one thing that did happen that kind of cracks me up is Aaron and a bunch, like Spencer and a bunch of people from college, have this NFL, like, what do they call it? Fantasy
The
thing?
fantasy football, yeah.
Yeah, and they've had it going on for like years. And it is some guys I know, some guys I don't know as well. And I definitely like made fun of it, but part of me is just like, I wish I could be on the fantasy team. But I'm like such a baby that I'm not just gonna like go out and say it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, that's cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And I found out this year Laura was on it. And
Yeah,
I
she
lost
said
it.
that she elbowed her
lost it.
way into it. She had been saying
No,
that
I figured it probably wasn't easy. And it's not like it's not Aaron's thing either.
which is
It's this
so
guy Preston's
funny.
thing.
I know. It happens,
like,
yeah.
Still, like I said, it hurts. Like, I'm like, fuck those guys. But also, how dare you not include me? And I found out, and like I'd had a little to drink. So like I was really embarrassed later, because I was like, it would have been nice if I could have done that one year. All serious. And Aaron and Laura were like, like dead ass. And it's like, well, thanks for the grief, buddy. And like the next day, I'm just like, I haven't really talked about it to them since then. But I was just like, why the hell did I trip over? Like at the end of the day, I'm just like, bro, I don't have to like force myself into like everything people do.
That's so funny that you
But it
said that,
hurt.
because Laura was saying that she forced her way into it. She said she's been asking
Yeah.
to be on it for like 4 years
Oh,
or something.
really? Oh,
Yeah.
that makes me feel
And
so
then,
much
like,
better.
And then like they were like, well,
God.
we need another person, and so they like finally reached out to her because somebody backed out because she had been
Oh,
bugging them
okay.
about it for so
Well,
long.
that's good to hear.
But that's Laura's thing, is she got added to the neighborhood group probably
Yeah,
because
she just
talked
slips
to the,
right in. They didn't even consider
Yeah.
me. She wins. Yeah, so
But she's also like super friendly and talks
how
to
could I
the
not be
neighbors
like,
and
yeah,
shit,
well,
which
I see why.
can't.
They're
Yeah.
like, I see why you'd pick Laura over me. That is better.
Yeah, I
choice.
definitely understand why they let her in so quickly, but I'm like pissed that they didn't even think to put me in before then. It's like
Yeah.
I've been coming to the events, I've been doing the
I've been
shit, I've been
I've been
putting
paying
the
my dues.
yeah, I've been
Come
putting the
on.
Easter out. Like we did a whole Easter thing in the neighborhood. I fucking did the best Easter baskets in the neighborhood. I fucking do Halloween. I come to the hot dog shit. I'm doing the
Come to the
shit.
hot dog shit. That's hilarious. Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah. And they're just like, that one's weird. I don't know, but I have had like awkward conversations. I'm not very good at like the regular small talk either. And I try
Me
to like
neither.
make it
I'm
deep
not good at that at all.
conversation and try to go without like digging into their personal life, but I try to like get to like a good conversation where we can like make a connection as people instead of just like, oh yeah, the weather around here is so crazy. I
Yeah.
love this tree. What tree is this? And you're like that kind
Hey,
of
you
shit
wanna-
is just ugh. Like it's
Want to have
like
something to sink your teeth into.
yeah, it's like
Something nice,
nails on
something rich.
chalkboard. I mean, obviously, I'll talk all day if you let me, but I can't do the little like asking about trees or the foliage or you know. How long
Yeah.
have you lived in the neighborhood?
You have to be like a little politician.
Yeah, I've got to like get in
Have your
there.
talking points.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of like getting into the conversation either.
No.
Like that is uncomfortable as fuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
Yeah, I want to
Alarm me.
immediately just be like, so what were your parents like? How did they
Oh,
raise
God.
you? You know, just like
That's so
figure out
funny.
everything about people.
I was sorry. Go
Go ahead.
I was definitely thinking like before you're gonna come, I was like, I definitely don't want to like ask like general questions to you like tell me about your childhood and shit like that. Like most of the
Oh,
time
I talk about that forever
most of the time
too.
it comes out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, like you say, like you definitely do want to know all that stuff about people. It's just like getting into that. It's just hard to ease into whenever you don't have 2 hours like
Yeah.
we do. You know what I mean? If you're at some event with people with kids and shit, like literally,
Yeah,
I mean,
and that's
I'll
the
be
thing,
talking
too.
to like
Yeah.
you or us or whatever, and just or Aaron, whoever has kids, and then just all of a sudden that's over.
Yeah.
The conversation's like
It's so
it's turned into the
annoying.
kids, and then another discussion about that, and then the next bath time.
You
is
can't
gonna be,
ever like finish a thought because they're just
Yeah.
interrupting you all the time. They need a juice, somebody got hurt, whatever it is, and it's just like it will drive you mad. All of it will, and all of it combined, and just getting that all the time every day, it'll drive you crazy if you're not careful. You gotta like make sure that you have what you need. Like,
Yeah.
have you eaten? Have you slept? Do you feel good? Gotta like check all your boxes first, or
right.
you really will lose your shit.
Yeah, I think from what I hear, the important thing is to have help when it comes to having kids. Like you're gonna need help.
Yeah,
You can't just deal with the kids yourself or you and your partner all the time. Like you're gonna need, whether it's family or nanny or whatever. Like that's what I hear all the time from people is like you need to have help and
Yes.
accept help and like
That's for sure.
be okay with your kids being with other people and
See, well,
Like, get 'em
it's funny that you
acclimated.
say that because everybody told me that, and I was like, okay, like I'm gonna take the advice of all the older people. I've like not taken advice from older people my whole life. I've just been doing my own thing. Like
Yeah.
I know what's best for me. Blah blah. Blah.
you've been on a mission.
Well, then I like opened myself up to like other people taking care of Reagan and dropping her off at school, which I needed to do, but I started really early just because I had the twins. I needed a break, and she was 19 months whenever I sent her. No, I guess she was older. She was probably 2.5 years whenever I sent her to their first daycare, but I had kept her all that time, and I let other people watch her and take care of her and do all these things, and I felt like it was taking a lot out of me because you can't control how everybody acts around your child or how they treat your child or how
Yeah.
they interact with them. And I don't know. A part of me wishes that I would have just buckled down and kept her longer and did more things. I don't know. There was a lot of things that I think I was meant to teach her, at certain ages that I didn't get a chance to. and that's probably silly, and there's probably a lot to unpack there psychologically as far as
Yeah.
what I'm feeling, but I think that I used too much help, and I didn't get
Huh.
things that, needed to happen between me and her happen before she was like 4. And moving was a big part of breaking the cycle of just letting people take her whenever, and letting them take her to the store to buy whatever she wants, and doing all these things that I don't agree with, like from a moral, child psychological standpoint, just as far as like shaping who a person is. And I just let people do it because I'm like, I need the help. I need them to take her for a couple of hours. They can do whatever they want with her, and take her to do all this stuff, and, you know, give her candy and all these things that I don't agree with. And I wish I would have been more of like, no, I'm fine. I'll just keep her. But I
Yeah.
felt guilty. I felt like, other people in her life had a right to her time,
Yeah,
because they're
exactly.
part of
Yeah.
her family, and they're there, and they want to be with her, and they want to shape her as well. And I felt like they had
Yeah.
a right to that. And I don't know, I felt like maybe I should have put my foot down more. I have a few regrets as far as that goes. So I wish I would have gotten less help, actually.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is. Even though I was extremely exhausted, and obviously having her and the twins was a fucking lot in that span of
Yeah.
time.
Nobody can achieve a perfect balance,
Yeah.
I don't think, on something like that. I mean, and when it's in the past, it's in the past, you know?
Yeah,
It
yeah. And
really
I
is. I mean,
definitely
with
have learned
kids
from
and
it. And I
yeah,
think that's the
exactly.
important thing, is to digest those feelings and use them and think about why you feel like that, and figure out how to not
Sure.
do it, blah, blah, blah. Try to be a better person.
Yeah. As if.
It's funny that you have to like try.
Yeah, you
Like
do
you
have to
gotta
try
like
harder than
teach
you
yourself and shit.
think. Yeah. Kind of teach yourself and shit. This sucks.
Nobody told me I was gonna have to be my
Yeah.
own teacher.
Yeah. This is bullshit. No, dude, I'm never having kids.
Yeah, it really is
God,
tough.
I feel like enough of a mess just dealing with my own stuff. I mean,
I mean, okay,
including
so
that into it. I mean,
there's
it's very daunting.
it's a lot, but they do like make you laugh and smile like every day. So there's a plus side. It's
Yeah,
like they drive you
absolutely.
crazy, literally. But yeah, they
Yeah,
do
there's
funny
pros and
stuff,
cons.
and they're sweet, and it's exciting when they've finally learned something that you've been working
Sure.
on, or they like pick up their own mess and their little hands cleaning, and
Yeah, it's
that's
got to.
really
Yeah,
cute.
it's all
They say it's
worth
all
it.
worth it, but
Yeah, that's why I was hesitating. I'm like, it's all.
I don't know.
Yeah, I guess as long as they're not just gonna be like a complete piece of shit in society, like
Yeah,
you're
and
doing okay.
it's nerve-wracking, because a lot of times I'm like doing a lot of the opposite things that my parents taught me. And like my parent, like for
Like what?
instance, yeah, for instance, my parents were always like, I'm gonna tell you once, and if you don't do it, or you don't oblige to whatever I'm talking about, like you're getting a spanking. Like I'm gonna beat your ass. I'm gonna say it once, and then your ass is gonna get
Nice.
beat. Like so
Old school.
strict and old school. And my kids, I'm like, I say something, and then Reagan will like make a really good point as to why you don't do that, and I'm like, don't want to just follow through just out of principle, and be like punish you for not listening to me the first time, because it's not logical. Like I want to encourage your mental
Yeah.
process and grow, and I want to be doing the right things psychologically. And so that's kind of the opposite, when I thought, and sometimes it feels like, because that's the way they taught you, that you're supposed to, that's like a thing, and you're supposed to teach them that, and they're supposed to listen to your rules no matter what. But it's like, I also want her to question everything, and not ever fall in line. So it's like I'm proud of her for not doing this, but I feel like I'm fucking up because I'm not doing this. There's
There's
a
a lot going on
lot.
in your
There's
head.
a lot. So stupid. Probably none of it matters. But yeah, I'm doing a lot of the things different than my parents, and so you feel like maybe you're doing it wrong. You don't know if you're doing it right. Like, what if
Sure.
she ends up being a shithead because I'm teaching her not to, I am teaching her to question everything. One of my
Yeah.
cousins, whenever we went to Michigan, he is raising his son all by himself, and his son is almost 10, and he's like doing pretty good in school, but the teachers are mad at him because he talks a lot, and he gets in a lot of trouble, and he does spank him like
Is he ADD or anything like
yeah,
that?
he is ADD and he takes medication for it. But I'm also like, he's doing good in school. Like, he's doing what he's supposed to
Yeah.
do. And sometimes it's not the kid, it's the teacher. And I don't want to be that person that's like, blaming a
Right.
teacher for anything or blaming him for anything. I mean, he gets in trouble and then at school for whatever reason, but he's got good grades. It's like, well, what's the point? I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
he's
The
doing what
kids'
he's there to
results are,
do.
yeah.
He's got the results, and if you
It's
break his
just the social,
spirit
yeah, where
on
he's fitting
falling in
in.
line and being quiet and not talking whenever you need to say something, it's like you're breaking him down. Maybe, I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe he's going to be a great worker someday that just, puts his head down and does the work. And but also, what if he's a great thinker because he fucking can't stop talking,
I
just like
honestly,
Preston can't stop
those
talking.
those kids, I can say, like, going through public school, those kids that were like that did not stop me from learning shit.
Yes,
You know what I
it's like
mean?
he's
And they
not
act like
affecting
it's all the
anyone.
kids are now because of them. The other kids,
Exactly.
it's like that isn't really the case as far as I can remember. I mean, I'm someone that can just, go ahead. People can go off and like the only thing I'll do is maybe laugh about it. But like honestly, like all those troubled kids I remember in high school, like were kids that I like felt bad, like I had empathy for and shit. Like just like they're not so bad, man. Like this place
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah, and they're like
Like,
trying to like crush them
like
into a
they're
diamond,
just
like just let
expressing
them.
themselves,
Yeah,
and that
exactly.
is who they are.
And they're like trying to have fun, which is a really good
Yeah.
quality of like
Oh
being in
yeah.
school.
Or you're
Like
gonna suck.
you're
You're gonna work
able,
for a place and be a bummer, and like
yeah,
everyone's yeah.
like you're gonna be a
If you're a
treasure. People are
robot,
gonna
yeah,
love you if you can make this
yeah,
fun
yeah.
and still get your job done. Like everything is about relationships, and I wish I would have been taught that in school because I literally didn't
You're
make
totally
any
right. You're right.
relationships. Everything. It doesn't matter what you know, it matters who you know. And I have seen that
Sure.
so much throughout my life. Like tons of kids that I went to high school with that didn't do good in school at all, but they were so funny. They're like doing
Right.
great because they're funny, and that's a good
Right.
quality to
Right.
have.
Sure. Absolutely. And vice versa. There's a lot of kids that have awesome grades, and
Oh,
they don't turn out to do shit.
yes, I was going to tell you about my Indian friend while we were talking about
Okay.
India.
Cool. Yeah. Tell me
Okay,
the story.
so last story, and then I probably gotta go.
Yeah. That sounds great.
We've been talking forever.
No. Yeah. I was just letting it vibe out, but that sounds good.
let
Yeah.
me go.
Tell the story, and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay, so I had this. He wasn't really too much of a friend. He was more of an acquaintance, and his name is Greg Perlman. Awesome guy, but in high school he was our valedictorian. And out of a class, I mean, we had a huge. Odessa's high school was like way overpopulated.
So you went to Odessa High, not Mojo.
Odessa High.
Okay.
And
I like you a little better now.
yeah, so super smart kid. And I think a lot of it had to do with his parents. They were very traditional Indian. Well, I didn't know this at the time, but they were super rich. I knew that, but I didn't know that he was going to be in an arranged marriage.
The Patels.
I don't know if it was Patel's. I don't
Gotcha.
know.
Sorry to interrupt you.
But yeah, they were very prominent in the area too. But yeah, super rich, had an arranged marriage, valedictorian, super smart. They sent him to UT here.
Arranged marriage.
And he was married. I don't know. I think it was like the first year we were out of high school. He was married and then sent to college with his wife.
Shit. Okay.
So I kind of like kept up with him through Facebook, like not very much. Well, he always in high school was like, wanted to do acid and wanted to do shrooms and like wanted to explore his mind. Well, he ended up going to UT and started studying quantum physics, which is
nice.
Dope, right? I didn't even know that they had
the highest level science.
Yeah, I had no idea that they were even actually working on that.
Oh, UT?
Yeah.
They have a lot of crazy science
Well,
departments.
anyways, he takes a turn. Some would say for the worse, some would say for the better. And I guess he had like posted about it publicly that having issues with his arranged wife, and
posted about it publicly.
Posted about it on Facebook and stuff, and made like comments about his mom and his wife,
Jesus.
and like just like very casual comments about it.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think he was ever like a very deep person. I think they like beat the shit out of him to make him as good as he was in school. He talked about it like he was scared about it. So I don't know what happens, but he divorces his wife. He quits school. He runs off with a yoga instructor and is like doing all the acid he wants and just like living his dream life.
Yeah.
That doesn't include money or an arranged marriage or making your family happy. And
all the things Indians want.
Yeah, exactly. And I just admire him so much. And I reached out to him and tried to talk to him whenever we moved here and was just like, hey, I live in Austin now. I know that you live here. Well, I'd love to meet up. Cool. And he was like, just like gave me this weird hippie sentence like, yeah, I'm here and there or something, just something random and weird. And I don't know, I just like
some stupid
I was just like, yeah, dude, fucking do you. But that's a good example of what you are in school does not make you who you are going to be in the world.
And it's also a good idea about, just to touch back on what you're saying about you wanting your kids to think for themselves.
Yeah.
And it's important. And that's a reason why, is because if you're at a younger age, you're able to think more for yourself. You're not going to be hit with adulthood like a pound of bricks.
Yeah, and then just be like, fuck everything that you said, Mom and Dad.
That's what kind of happens to a lot of kids. Definitely happened with me. Like, when I get into college, I'm just like, oh, well, Christianity's a lie.
Yeah,
and
opposite of everything
sucks.
you said.
Like, I just totally went the other direction because, like, sure, I was able to think for myself, but I feel like I wasn't exposed to other people's ideas about our existence, how you interface with the universe, all that.
Yeah.
So
it slightly like discusses that in psychology on the 3 different types of parenting, and there's like the authoritarian parent and the laissez-faire parent, and then the kind of in the middle. And in the middle, they're like great, but the laissez-faire and the authoritarian,
that's like you leave your baby for 3 hours while they're asleep.
It's like,
it'll be fine.
Yeah. And they like both of those extreme ends of it. It like talked about the effects of whenever they finally leave them, and they said it takes 18 months for you to be who you are without being in your parents' home. So if you're like out of their reach, and it takes 18 months, and then you'll be who you are. Like for the most part, I'm sure that's like a roundabout number. But that's so funny because it was like almost 18 months exactly from the time he left his parents to here. And so, I mean,
I think that's why like prep school, overnight school is so like in like higher echelons of society. It makes sense to send your kids away. Like, you're not going to live with us. You're going to school, even though like you're still like whatever age you are, 14 when you start high school. So like, dude, that is crazy. It does take a grip.
Yeah.
Like for kids, for sure. But dude, awesome, man. I gotta say, it's the best podcast yet.
Oh.
I'm gonna say
Can
it
I
right
record
now.
you saying that? Are you gonna cut it out before you put it up there for people
No,
to
I
listen
wasn't
to?
gonna cut that out. That's so whoever's listening knows.
Okay,
Whoever it might be.
Rustin.
This is the best one so far. No, yeah. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for
It's
having
been
me.
fun.
What's your like outro? Is there an outro?
Oh, outro? No, that's a good idea.
This
No,
has been
there's no outro.
Alex.
That's a style. All right.
Well, catch you later.
Peace.